Preparing the live stream. And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, we have a very special guest host. We have Dan, Ketchumallcollectibles. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Dan, he is one of Jake from Pokenomics. I guess they run their Patreon together. You might also know him from just pretty much being all over the place, actually. He's been in the hobby now for years. He recently quit his full-time job to do Pokemon full-time, which I am very excited to, pick his brain a little bit about that. But Dan, for the very small, minuscule amount of people on this channel who might be watching this live that don't know who you are, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Dan. I've been back into the hobby for 8 years now, going on 8 years. It was 2014. I guess going all the way back to the start, just a really quick overview. I'm 31 currently. So I was in like 5th grade when Pokemon hit the US, the big craze. I've got my Game Boy Advance up there, but I started with the Kiwi Green, Game Boy Color, Pokemon Yellow. Not huge into the show, but it was mainly the games and then the cards secondary. Yellow and Crystal were where I was at. And then I got out of it after Sapphire with the cards. I got out slightly earlier, like the Gym, somewhere between Gym and Neo, because I did have a couple Neo cards in my childhood binder.
Now, did you know when you went out, or did you have to go back and look at your binders when you got a little bit older?
When I rediscovered my binder, actually, like, my full re-entry story back into the hobby was in 2014 when I found my binder a second time, having moved out of my parents' house in 2013. I was just like going through boxes and I found it again. But back in college, my college years, around 08, 09 maybe, I found my binder. I bought a few of the hollows that I was missing. Like, I think one of them was Unlimited Jungle Wigglytuff. So I knew enough to go on eBay, buy a couple that I was missing, and then I just put it away and didn't touch it again for 7 more years.
Did you have just all unlimited stuff or a little bit of first edition mixed in there, or what was it?
Very few first edition. I ended up not in 07, 08, but in 14, when I fully got back into it, I sold off a lot of my excess, and I pared it down to just base Jungle Fossil complete unlimited sets. I did have like the odd first edition Jungle or first edition Gym non-hollow, but I didn't have like any big first edition hollows, not even the later sets.
Yeah. No, like I was kind of in the same way. So I wasn't really sure like when I got out of the hobby. I had to go back and look at some of my older binders, when I got back into the hobby, and I got out pretty much at the end of Fossil, very little bit of Team Rocket, but like almost nothing. It was probably like maybe if I had to take a guess by looking at the cards I had, was maybe like 3 or 4 packs. So, but I actually got in right in 99. So I was able to get lucky, and I did open a lot of Shadowless. I didn't even know I had a lot of Shadowless until I started like going through my binders and stuff, but no first editions, anything like that. And I'm always very curious in like people's backstories, but it's funny that you kind of discovered your binder in like 2006, 2007, 2008 timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you're talking about rediscovering your binders right at the peak of Gold Star time. Now, did you go out and buy any packs and just get like super lucky, or were you not even going and buying, I guess you would call it modern for 2007 packs?
No, that's the unfortunate part of the story, is like it was my failed re-entry into the hobby, because basically all I did was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I remember Pokemon from years ago. I knew enough to go and like, hey, I need Wigglytuff. Hey, I need. I think there was
kind of the same thing, yeah.
But in my travels on eBay, my very short travels, buying the couple that I needed for like a couple dollars.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the new sets. I didn't even know that the new card sets were a thing. Had I happened upon that information, I might have dove fully back in then, and I couldn't even imagine where I'd be now.
Yeah.
but
Well, you gotta think about those sets too. And I guess you would probably get lucky because those sets still did have so many recognizable Pokemon, and especially if you were playing like Game Boy Advance. I'm guessing that's like Ruby Sapphire, maybe, or
Sapphire was the last game I had played.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you still got all that Gen 3 Pokemon in there. So you probably would have like, fit right at home with those 2007
Oh
sets. And
yeah, for
man, can you
sure.
imagine if like you were just accidentally acquiring positions in like Holland's Phantoms or Dragon Frontiers or something like that, and like you don't even know it.
Yeah, because then when I found my binder the second time and the nostalgia came back in, I looked on eBay again, and this was 2014. The prices were relative to today very low, obviously,
Yes.
but relative to what I would have thought, they were much higher than I would have thought. I would have thought the cards were worth nothing. And then I don't remember the exact timing of when and how I found E4 versus who I was watching on YouTube first and all that. But somehow or another, I discovered that there was like 70 something sets and
Yep.
Phantom Forces was the newest one. And
Okay.
I went
That was
all
that's a
in.
fun set to get back in for too, out of all the
Yeah.
XY era sets. So
Yeah, I liked Phantom Forces quite a bit. It's weird to say it, but it's nostalgic for me because it's the first set that I like that brought me back in, and I cracked a full case of it like out of
no.
the gate.
And you know what? It's funny you say that because like when I talk about, I always feel like there's the vintage argument and then there's the pro modern argument. And one of the arguments I always put against people is kind of what you just said there, is that the set that when you came back to was Phantom Forces, but yeah, you were still super nostalgic for all this more vintage stuff. Like you said, when you went back, the first sets you went after was Jungle, but now Phantom Forces has this nostalgic feel for it. When I'm very pro modern and I say to everybody, like, this is how many people came in from this boom. The sets that they're going to find nostalgic are going to be sets that you would never expect to use the words nostalgic for. And it's
Yeah.
going to be like Darkness Ablaze and Evolving Skies and Vivid Voltage. Like, to use the words nostalgic and vivid voltage in the same sentence almost seems like you're like, like creating blasphemy or something. But for all that huge wave of people that came in 2020, 2021, I'm always very curious if like they're going to have very special places in their hearts for these modern sets. But so this kind of segues me to another question I want to ask you, because obviously you were very lucky. You had a pretty decent position in Pokemon. You're able to quit your normal job and do Pokemon full time. But I need to know, like, what was the catalyst or what was the moment where you were watching everything happen with the market and then you're like, something special is happening or something has changed? Was there that aha moment for you, or was it just a little more gradual than that?
So yeah, 2014, kind of getting back into my like full re-entry, diving in. I didn't remotely intend for this to become my full-time job 8 years later. I
Yeah.
didn't remotely intend to turn it into a business. I've always been somewhat of a like I was an engineer in my past job. Efficiency was always key for me. I wanted to collect as much as I could, as efficiently as I could. And very early on, I determined the best way to do that was to buy big lots, sell off the excess that I didn't want, keep the few that I wanted.
That's
And I
exactly what I
was,
did.
yeah, I was so efficient at doing that, especially tying in like PSA grading, that excess cash was being thrown off, but I didn't want or need the money. I just wanted a lot more cards.
Yeah,
So for 8 years, I literally just churned thousands of hours into that initial $5,000 investment and turned
sure.
it into a massive inventory. And then it was like 2020 was insane, absolutely insane. I
Was
watched
there that
the
aha moment for you, or
it
was it
wasn't
kind of?
like a one day waking up, I'm gonna quit my job. The positive side of it was like I'm very passionate about this hobby and I love it. There's some negative sides that I won't get into with some of the things that were going on in my other job. I really liked what I did, but there were some political type things going on, and just like a perfect storm of
Huh.
Pokemon catapulting the way that it did. I
Don't
was
worry, man.
getting,
I got a job too. We all know what it's
yeah.
like. There's
And
it doesn't grass is never greener on the other side. So
yeah,
but keep
what it
going
all
though.
culminated in, I mean, my my family lives a very simple life, and it probably sounds weird, like how much money I spend on Pokemon in my business is very, very atypical from my normal life of like very minimalist, not we live pretty simple, don't spend a lot of money. My wife's a teacher. I mean, we get by on her salary alone. So I had definitely the ability, due to my family situation in that regard, I had a little more runway to work with and a little more ease to give this a shot.
Yeah. So let me ask, so was there like that big card or big lot you sold where, because I mean, obviously you have all these cards, but you haven't sold them yet, or you've been selling them a little bit, and obviously you're seeing some money trickle in, but was there like that one big sale you did where you're like, you know what? I pulled the Band-Aid off. I had a Charizard, PSA 9 first edition or PSA 10. I pulled the Band-Aid off, I sold it. And then when my wife saw that sale, she was like, okay, now you can do it. Like I believe in you now.
Yeah, definitely. I've mentioned this. It was over a year ago now. Before I had my own channel, I was on Pokemon Radar's channel, and then I was also on Jake's channel, just for like this similar type podcast interview, whatever you want to call it. In
Yeah,
2020, I paid off my house, primarily selling Evolutions cases,
that's crazy.
my PSA 9 Shadowless Hollow set, my PSA 9 Unlimited sets. This was when PSA 9 Unlimited Charizard was $6,000.
Oh
I mean, I had
wow.
one of like my bread and butter for a few years. What not, I wouldn't say my bread and butter, but one of the things I was constantly doing, I was buying PSA 9 Charizards for 100 and selling them for 150.
Yeah, but
And
that's huge profit margins right there too. People don't
and,
realize that.
and then I was doing it for 150 to 200, 200 to all the way up. And then just the way the timing worked, like when things got nuts, I had not a ton, I didn't have 50 of them or something, but I had several that I was able to sell between $2,000 and $5,000 a piece. That on top of Evolutions cases, on top of the Shadowless Hollow set. We've got some super chats coming in.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Charvy. He said slow king. I don't know what the chat's saying, but then he says slow bro. I I'm guessing this means that everybody who's going to watch this after the fact is just going to play this maybe at 1.5 times the speed because we're slow talkers, maybe.
I think he's saying that I must have been able to quit my job because of all the money I made on Slow Kings and Slow Bros.
Okay. But no, I appreciate this super chat.
Slow poke.
But no, it's funny though that was the card you were selling with the Charizards, because when I've talked about this in old videos in the past, like the how you were saying very similar, how your bread and butter was you would try to pick up big lots. What I would always try to do was pick up lots that had a Charizard in, and I didn't care what the Charizard was because I'm not a Charizard like collector. I'm not a huge Charizard fan. So I would always go after those lots with Charizards because that was the card that was easiest to just flip. And
Very
when I say
liquid. Yeah.
flipping it, I'm not even talking about grading it where you were probably, spending the time having it graded. I was just flipping that card to get a couple bucks back raw to pretty much, and it's all psychological at that point because I was more of a collector than a seller, is I can now sell this one card and pay for most of the cards in this lot. And sometimes, depending on the size of the lot, you could pay for all of them if it was a smaller lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Another big, because one of my first goals when I got back into the hobby was to make up for lost times and open literally every booster box that I had missed in my time outside of the hobby, which I achieved in like 2017 or 2018.
and that's amazing. You open Skyridge then?
Yep.
Can I ask you what your price point on a booster box Skyridge was?
The most expensive box I bought out of, and base set first English is the only exception. That's the only one I didn't open.
Sure.
The
Because that's
Shadowless
probably
box,
what that was probably 10 grand at the time, I'm guessing.
the one that Rusty bought, and I think he pulled a Charizard that graded an 8 for $10,000 from Collector's Cash. I had that one in my cart. I had my eyes on it for a long time. It was way too much money though, and I didn't go for it.
Yeah,
But
that I mean the expected value in that was nothing. And especially if you pulled the 8 Charizard, like you would have lost money. So
yeah, at the time, I can't remember off the top of my head, but a PSA 8 Charizard definitely would have lost money on the box. Well,
yeah,
if you had flipped the hollows immediately, you wouldn't have got all your money back. But like if you sat on a lot of the bulk and then graded it in the subsequent years, you would have been fine
yeah.
probably.
Oh,
So,
that's kind of cheating though, to say in the in the
that's
years to come. Yeah.
part of what I did. Like back then, Fossil and Jungle boxes were like $300 to $500 a piece. I bought,
Yeah, Team Rocket too were right around
yeah,
that, you know,
I
500 bucks,
I
400
cracked
bucks.
dozens of them, and I would hit a like a Lapras PSA 10, $600 at the time. Pay for the box.
Yeah.
You hit a Gengar, you hit a Lapras, you hit a Dragonite. You were almost covering the box with one PSA 10 card. And then in 2020, I had all the, well, not from Fossil, but from Jungle, I had all the Eevees and all the Pikachus and all the Jigglypuffs and all the cards that were selling for too much money in 2020. But
Yeah.
we got on a tangent there. But the question you had asked me was what I had paid for
Skyrim.
Skyridge. In the twos, 2,300, 2,600 maybe.
Can I add? Because so Skyridge is like that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Did you pull any of the crystals, and then did you pull the Charizard?
I pulled a reverse Charizard.
Sweet.
And
What did it grade at?
I think I got a 9 on I'm
That's
not a
solid.
big like parallel guy. I don't keep reverses in my binders from any set. So
Okay.
it was nice because it's like I don't have any attachment to this. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna sell it on. I believe the crystals that I hit were Ho-Oh. I honestly don't remember if it was one or two, which is
Did you
kind of
hit the
bad.
Celebi?
I don't think so.
It's too bad, Dan. Honestly, man, it's too bad you didn't record all this stuff.
Oh, that's a large part of the reason, like why I started the channel was because I think of my first 7 years in the hobby, some of the things that I did, some of the collections that I bought, and I just want to be able to relive and re-see them myself, like for selfish reasons. Um, but the ability to like do all this and share it with people too, and maybe it brings either value or entertainment to them. I mean, that's my goal now. But also to kind of like put it into a time capsule that I can revisit down the line if I want to.
Yeah. And let's hope that all these videos we make and all the prices we talk about, I hope that we can go back and the videos we're making now talking about selling cards for, $100 and being like, man, we gave that card away for free, didn't we, in 2021? And everybody's saying, yep, that was a stupid price to sell that card. Because if that's the case, if the videos we're making now, these little time capsules like what we're doing right now, and I'm sure we'll talk about cards or prices or recent sales. I hope we like 5 years from now, we could watch this live stream again and say, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't believe we were trying to flip CGC 9.5s because they were worthless and like trying to fire sale these things. Like, because if that happens, then that means the entire hobby continued to succeed. And at the point I'm sure you're at, and I'm sure at the most of the people listening to this video, because this is a smaller channel, but if the hobby continues to grow, it's almost impossible to like not be successful if it continues an upward trend. So I guess that's like that positive thinking I try to have sometimes.
And I did. So one thing I didn't do was record much of anything. I did years ago. I opened one heavy base first booster pack that I probably paid $1,000 for, not even $1,000. I don't even remember. I remember that I pulled a PSA 8 base first Ninetales,
Nice.
but I just pulled up in my email. Like I have all my emails. I want to do a video at some point showing every box that I bought, when I bought it, and what I paid. And then
That would be awesome.
kind of compare, like if someone were to re-enter the hobby today, it would cost a substantial amount of money to replicate what I did, opening one of every box. But
Yeah.
so it was.
What set did you go up to? Did you do just Wizard of the Coast, or did you go through like the Nintendos and everything?
I opened a box of every set, EX series, Heart Gold,
Every
Soul
you
Silver,
so Diox
everything.
or like Deoxys and stuff?
I paid $1,500 for a Deoxys box.
Holy shit. Did you pull a Rayquaza?
No Gold Star.
What golds? So I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to jump around now. So
Well,
what are the gold stars you pulled from what sets?
just a timestamp because I did find this email just searching it quickly. For my Skyridge box on August 18th, 2016, I paid $2,300.
That's awesome, man.
The most expensive box out of all the ones I bought was Neo Destiny First Edition, and I paid a little over $3,000 for that.
Yeah, just to get that Charizard.
Yeah.
So out of the gold stars, what gold stars have you pulled?
I definitely pulled.
Shout out to Boo for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you might have had another. My chat's. Oh, Raichu versus Slowking. Who wins?
Oh, Raichu all day, every day. Oh, that's an easy question. I don't. Raichu's my favorite Pokemon, and that's a slam dunk question. Raichu wins 10 out of 10 times.
So gold stars that I pulled, it's probably like a blasphemous answer that I don't think I remember every single one that I pulled. It should be Vaporeon. Gold star was definitely one of them from EX Power Keepers.
Yep.
But my gold star luck was pretty poor. So the way gold stars used to be, it was 1 per 2 boxes.
Yeah.
How many gold star sets were there? Probably like 8 or 9, right? There's 27 gold stars in total. 2 of them are the pops, not from boxes. So there's 25. Some sets have 2, some have 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7, so I was wrong. Yeah, it's probably 8.
So theoretically, I
Most,
should have pulled like 4 approximately, right? Given that they're 1 per 2 boxes.
yeah.
I definitely pulled a Vaporeon Gold Star because I remember that. I'm trying to think, like I definitely didn't hit Charizard. I didn't hit Pikachu or Mew. I hit one of the Reggies, and I don't even remember which one.
Yeah, the Reggie Ice, that's the one I was.
I feel like my gold star luck was really poor. Like I got less than I should have expected, and the ones I got were just like I didn't hit the big boys.
So let me ask you a question. So now you got all these sets, you've opened them. Now you have some really good bulk, I'm guessing, because if I'm guessing there's no way, even from the small timeline, even in 5 years, you could have sold the bulk from every single one of those booster boxes. So you must have like some really solid bulk. And when I say solid bulk, I'm talking like good reverse hollows, all the commons, uncommons. When you think about some of the commons, uncommons from some of these sets, like the more pricier uncommons, you got like your Expeditions and your Aquapolis and your Skyridge commons, uncommons, those sell for, big dollars. And then reverse hollows, and you're talking secret rares and shinies, and you gotta just have so much stuff that was considered bulk at the time that there's no way you could have worked your way through all that stuff, right?
Most sets, though, I only opened 1 box. And when you're looking at like 100-card set and you open 1 box, you're not getting like you're not getting a ton of excess. And another thing that I'll say too,
360 cards for 10 card packs,
that's part of it though. This was like right now weighing where we are in the hobby. Weighing is like extremely accepted. Everyone knows about it. So back when weighing was a little more gray area, I wasn't. No, no,
everyone was weighing back then. They just weren't saying
everyone was doing it, but like I was the guy who was doing it, and I was saying like, guys, I'm doing it. I'm selling my light packs as light. So I was doing it above board, but like it was murky. Some people thought, and I was kind of like a vocal. This is a thing. We should just have it out there and known, not like in the shadows where, because I was a pack art collector back then too. So I would open a box, I'd weigh out the heavies, I'd take 4 packs for myself. I had a couple buddies at the time They were also pack art collectors. So 12 of the packs I opened, probably another 12 were immediately spoken for a pack art collection. And then of the remaining 12, I guess, I would sell those in lots on eBay a lot of times, like light art sets. And
Yeah.
looking back at the sale prices of some of those light art sets, oh man, like
You got to be talking, yeah, probably what, like 40, $50 for an art set, maybe sometimes.
well, I was buying EX era boxes for a lot of them. I bought in the $500 to $700 range. So you're
So
talking my
let's
box
just,
price
yeah.
was
So let's
20
just
bucks a
say
pack.
$15 a pack. That's your price point. So
But and I was selling light art sets though, so I was getting like slightly less. Like I was losing a little bit, as you should, right? Selling a light because
yeah,
I was
well,
opening the good
then
stuff.
yeah, but now forget about it, you know.
Many of
But
the boxes that I opened, I did it at a cost to me. Like I didn't get my money back. Fossil,
yeah,
Jungle, Rocket, I was constantly opening them in the background to fund opening every other box at a loss.
yeah. So I think you've talked about it with Nick, old school Pokemon before, but like I have a lot of Jungle Bolt, but I wasn't opening, tons of booster boxes like you were, and I have tons of like Pikachus and Eevees, especially in Unlimited. So those are very, very common. When you have, how many cards are in Jungle? 63 cards, right?
Fossil 62, Jungle 64.
Okay. So 64 cards for Jungle. That Pikachu,
You'd get like 4 a box or
I think
something.
it's more than that.
Yeah, it might even be 6 or 8. Or it's a
I think
lot.
it's like 8 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're opening multiple of those booster boxes, it's like those were the cards that when I talked about when the boom came and all the hype and everybody just did the rocket emojis. And those were the cards that I just always tried to warn people about, that they, no one knows how many of those cards are out there because there's so many. Like it's an almost make-believe amount of number for some of those. But
It's yeah, it's funny. My first 2 appearances on YouTube, again before I had a channel, I was actively selling $1,000 EVs, and I told people like, don't go to my eBay and buy EV and Pikachu. I'm selling them there. I'm the cheapest on eBay, but please don't buy them.
wait,
Someone is
you
going
were the
to.
cheapest on eBay at $1,000?
1,000 is probably. I
See,
don't
this
know
is
if I
how.
ever cracked 1,000, but I sold many. I sold many in the several $100 range.
Yeah, see, this is how disconnected I am for cards like that, because I would never look at those cards. So I would never even really know what the active sold listing prices were for those, because I would just like, it didn't entice me at all to even look at those prices. Like,
I was actually grading. I was grading them and selling them back when I was cracking boxes for $400. I would grade all the hollows, some of the more popular non-hollow rares, and I would grade the Eevee and the Pikachus. I was grading those when the pops were double digits on those in PSA 10.
yeah, so you
And
probably could have single-handedly quadrupled that pop yourself.
I graded a lot of them. Like I'm grading, some of them are still at PSA now, but over the years I was grading them. My grading fee was $6, $7. It was a it was a nothing card, and I was selling them for 30 or 40 bucks in PSA 10.
Yeah.
Super slow, but that was a good margin at the time. Like that was, put it on an auction, I might only get 19 or 20 bucks, but like I can pick out a PSA 10 pretty well from a non-hollow card like that.
You could pick out a PSA 10, but you can't pick out a CGC.
Oh, I can't pick out a CGC 9.
Yeah, dude, I've done so many. We're not going to go into a CGC rant, but I have plenty of practice doing that. uh, but so out of all those booster boxes you open, do you have like your favorite set, or I mean, when I think back on opening every set, like my brain just constantly goes to like EX Team Rocket returns, and I want to, like, we could literally do a podcast of me just asking you about every single set and what was your feelings about it. But I feel like we can't do that. But
I
is there the favorite set though?
It's probably an underwhelming answer, but like honestly, some of the most exciting ones were going back and like I opened like the first base unlimited box that I opened completely was so exciting because like back in my childhood, I didn't pull many hollows, there was probably a pack wear at my local Toys R Us or something. Because like
Yeah,
my odds were not 1 in 3 on what I experienced.
you had a lot of those Clefairy dolls and Imposter Professor Oaks and
Yeah,
Lasses
yeah.
and
But
item finders.
I really like I'm bad at saying what's your favorite, what's your least favorite. I'm easy to please. I enjoy Pokemon just as a whole. And so it was so much fun, like seeing the legends, seeing the level X's, seeing the old school EXs and a couple gold stars. The black and white. I mean, I got into it at um Phantom Forces. So like the full arts and stuff, black and white didn't really have anything new to offer me. I guess the black border or the gold border secret rares, but then some of those came out in Primal Clash too. So
Well, I mean, black and white, yeah, that kind of introduced full arts too, but I know what you're saying. It's not the same as like an XY full art card.
so yeah, my preference still lies in like those early WotC sets that I grew up with. That's my main nostalgia. WotC's my favorite overall. I do love the E series. I don't have like the nostalgia from 20 years ago for it, but Aquapolis, not because it was better than Skyridge or Expedition, but for whatever reason, I was buying these boxes during a boon for the Aquapolis boxes. I think I bought and opened like 4.
Wow.
And the thing is, I opened a crystal Lugia because there's only 3 crystals in that, right? Lugia, Nidoking, Kingdra.
Yes.
And I think you get 2 per box. So I
Wait,
think
sorry, what did you say? You said
Nidoking, Kingdra, Lugia.
yes.
Yeah. My first box, I definitely hit the crystal Lugia.
What did
What
that grade? Do you
10?
remember? 10?
I remembered almost paying for the box if it didn't completely. I was buying those boxes for a little over $1,000. Like someone must have had a case and they were either auctioning them box by box or they were doing like a buy it now. And I was able to buy like 2 or 3 boxes from one person.
Now, do you
And
still have that Crystal 10 Lugia, or you got rid of that?
I don't keep tens.
Uh,
Very, very infrequently will I keep a 10. That can turn into its own 3-hour rant about the the grading scale and all that. And value for me has always been in PSA 9s, more
sure.
lately CGC 8.5s and 9s.
So you don't have, I mean, obviously, if you were grading for all this time and opening all these older booster boxes, so you don't have a preference to PSA opposed to CGC.
One of my other goals while I was building, or while I was opening one of every box, my initial goal was to get every first edition WotC Hollow and then the E series ones that didn't come in first edition. I wanted to get every Hollow in PSA 9.
Makes sense.
And I did that. It was 370 cards counting fourth print, and shadowless. And so at one point,
So you were the poor man's gem mint Pokemon then.
yep, I
Where
was
gem
the
mint goes to the
but
10.
he did the reverse hollows, he did the non-hollows, he did everything. I was like the Wish branded gem mint Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah.
Nines only, hollows only. But then as I was opening like the EX era boxes, as I was opening all that, I also completed a PSA 9 Gold Star set, a PSA 9 EX set, old school EX, PSA 9 Level X, PSA 9 Legend. A lot of those I sold off in 2020, 2021.
Now, did you have any? So you said it already that you're obviously a big collector because you don't start opening booster boxes if you're not a collector. Now, did you have any trouble, getting rid of those cards? Because for me, and I've talked about this on my channel before, when I sell some of those more higher end cards and I ship it out for the last time, do you ever think about it as this is potentially the last time I'll ever own this card, or do you not think like that? Or are you just thinking of it as another sale?
I think there's only ever been a couple cards that I've been like, I might never see this again. I'm of the opinion that every set card, especially since if I collected tens, it would probably be very different. But collecting nines, and honestly, I'm even open to PSA 8s, CGC 8s, things like that too. is where I see like the maximum value. Set cards, what does SM Pratt say? There's always another copy. That's his SM Prattism, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with everything he says, but okay.
For set cards,
Well, no, yes, there is
there's always
always
another
another card, but
copy.
there's
Like
not always another card for you in a way. Or the way I look at it is, while there might be another card out there, if that price point continues to just have an upward trend, like you'll never be able to catch it again, potentially.
that's the thing for me. Like I'm very pleased with binders. One of my discomforts that arose, kind of a weird thing, because like my collection went up in value massively, which is a great thing, right? I mean, it's good to like make money. I shipped my whole collection. That whole PSA 9 WotC set that I talked about, it's not here. I don't have it. I haven't seen it since March of 2021. It's in the PWCC vault.
Yeah,
The
welcome to
values got too
the
high. I wasn't comfortable keeping it at home. I'm
yeah,
replacing a lot of those with binder copies that I enjoy much more because I can have them on hand and view them and experience them.
yeah, when PWCC did the $250 value cards for the free lifetime storage, I sent like everything. Well, not everything, but I sent a large majority of any of my higher end stuff I had left to PWCC. So
Through
I know how you feel.
Yeah, through March of 2021, the free vault promo, it was free. Your order
I
had to average over a $50 value. So they were
Yeah,
taking like $20 cards for free for life, which was crazy.
yeah. I wasn't really I wasn't sending them there to keep them at that point. I was sending everything to the vault at that point just to sell at the monthly auctions through when they were still on eBay at the time.
I sent a bunch there just for like insurance storage reasons. Some of them I've recalled since, some of them I've sold, but I have several hundred cards at PWCC still, just collection cards.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just was reading the chat real quick, and Peak DeChew said his best sale this week was somebody buying his PSA 9 Grand Party. Aren't you a big Grand Party guy?
I have a bunch of them.
Okay, because I hate Grand Parties.
Oh, really?
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
So do you, well, this might be hard to ask you because you have a pretty large position in them, but first of all, I'm not like a big trophy guy, but I don't really consider, yeah, there you go. I don't consider grand parties like trophy cards because they were more just show up cards, you know? All you had to do was like you had to go the 50 competitions and just compete. It wasn't like, I think the reason why I hate grand party is because when I had originally a long time ago heard about grand parties, the way I had heard the story was grand parties where you had to compete with 50 different people and then you were entered into like a lottery. And then through that lottery, you can get that card. But then that ended up like not being the truth because this was all secondhand stuff coming out of Japan, right? So then it
Yeah.
became, oh no, you only had to compete 50 times. And then it was, oh no, there's all these grand parties that actually exist because grand parties now, I'm sure you could probably do an eBay search and come up with like however many auctions. It's probably just like a crazy amount. But going back a few years, like you didn't see them that much because they hadn't worked their way out of Japan yet.
Yeah.
So I have a sour spot in my heart. I just think it was funny that Peak to Chew said that.
Yeah. I like the art. I like the legendary birds a lot. The original. So it's a Japanese exclusive promo. My re-entry into the hobby, the first few years of being back into the hobby, 100% English set cards. And then I kind of completed everything. So then I turned to Japanese promos, Japanese exclusive promos, and then I got into some like Japanese actual trophies. And I very much agree with you. This is not a trophy. This is a Japanese exclusive promo.
Yeah. But
Um,
don't let me fool you too much. I shit on Japanese cards all the time, but I also have a little position in Japanese cards that I don't talk about. So it's not like I don't own any.
my biggest wants list that I'm not getting much progress on is almost exclusively Japanese cards at this point because I mean aside from the half art Pikachu's, the world's trophies from '04 to 2013,
Yeah,
And
those
then
those are awesome though. I can't believe you even have those.
I don't have those,
Are
not the
you?
half arts. I have the full arts.
Oh, you sorry.
Um, Aside from like the half arts and then some of the earlier stamped promos, there's
Hmm.
not much English that I'm missing. Like my, if I had to say the top 5 cards that I'd like to add to my collection this year, that almost definitely won't happen, would be like Master's Key, Mew Orb, Pikachu Ring. I mean, SSB, TMB, original Pikas. Those are all way beyond my means right now.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, those original Pikas, they never come up unless you could probably pull one out of Scott's hands, maybe.
That one came up for auction, and you had to beat Aoki. Aoki won the bid, so
Yeah, I honestly, when those cards come up, like they're not even a card that's on my radar that it's something I want to buy. But can I just ask you real quick with your grand party? So that's a 9. What are your subgrades on that?
9, 8.5, 9.59. So it
So,
averages to like a
oh,
straight 9.
yeah, that's a 9. But so why did you grade it with CGC? Like, don't you feel you're leaving a little bit of money on the table with that? Because what's a
I
I,
bought this
I'm I
one.
don't listen. I don't know what a PSA 9 goes for. I'm gonna guess $1,000 right now, but that's a shot in the dark, not
That's
knowing.
pretty close, I think. I actually bought this one. I bought this for like 8 or 900, I think.
Okay, so you got it for like 20% less than market.
Grand parties are weird, kind of like a lot of other things. They got crazy in 2020, 2021. They got crazy. I sold a couple PSA 10s for like 4 grand plus.
Holy
Yeah.
yeah. See, I
Um,
can't get behind those prices.
no, I was glad to sell them for that. Recently they dipped below 2000. And then I think the last sale or two is right around the $2,000 range, which is still a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like I said, my family, we're very like non-consumerish. We don't spend a lot of money. It is so completely opposite of my nature to spend like $1,000 on anything like that. And Pokemon, I am just a completely different person when it comes to money. Cause like, I mean, this guy right
I
here, this guy was like $200 or something. I don't spend that on anything.
yeah, I know. I'm the same way. It's funny. Like we'll go to the grocery store and my wife will be like, "Oh, you can I buy this?" And I'm like, I don't know. That's like $9." And then she's like, "How much money did you spend on Pokemon last week?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like
Let's
eight
not talk
grand."
about it. You can have that. Yeah, put it in the car.
Yeah.
No,
It's like a multiple of 1,000 versus what the loaf of bread or whatever.
the two things that I'll kind of like splurge on in my normal life are like food. I love food, and then experiences like travel, vacations, which
Sure.
unfortunately the past couple of years like aren't too much of a thing.
Yeah, with
But
all the lockdowns and everything.
aside from that, like clothes, like I'm not remotely fashionable. 60% of my wardrobe is Pokemon shirts, and the other
Yeah.
40% is like my sports teams that were,
Uh,
were
don't
gifted.
worry. I'm 34 years old and I still have clothes in my closet from like high school and middle school. My wife's like, "You never wear this." And I'm like, "Yeah, so." She's like, "Are you ever gonna wear it?" I'm like, "Maybe." She's like, "When's the last time you wore it?" I'm like, "I don't know, like eighth grade." So I definitely relate to you on that one. uh, but I appreciate everybody in the chat. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. I see a couple new names too.
Yeah, I've been bad not looking at it.
But yeah, I with everybody in here, if you guys could hit that like button, maybe we could, get the YouTube algorithm to pick it up, and maybe we'll have some, people who's never seen the channel join. But so let me ask you. So now I'm not part of your guys' Patreon. It is on my list of things that I consider I'm gonna potentially do.
Mhm.
But what's that whole process and whole experience been like for you now to run like the Pokenomics Discord with Jake?
Yeah, so I joined. He started the Patreon back, I want to say in like March of 2021. In the first few months, he had really no benefits at all, like no additional things. It was just like, hey, if you want to support the channel. And then around June-ish, I think he started the monthly Zoom meetings. And I joined on in September or so. So what we do is like there's two main facets of it. One is the monthly Zoom meeting, and then the other is the Discord. So I like run the Discord, and then every other month Jake and I alternate.
Is that like
It,
a full-time job in a way to run a Discord? Or I'm gonna
not
join your guys' Discord. I gotta.
it's not bad. Like we have a couple really good moderators that helped me because I've been in a bunch of Discords, not too frequently, but now that I like run one, I'm in it a lot more. But it's like I say we have moderators. Moderation isn't needed. Like everyone who's there is, I mean, paying to be there, right? Paying to be in
Sure.
the Patreon. Everyone's respectful. There's a lot of good conversation. We do like live discussions sporadically. The one structured kind of guaranteed thing. It's actually this coming Sunday. It's my month to do the live discussion. We do the 3 hour Zoom meeting. The first hour or so, Jake and I will rotate. One month I did estimated print runs for all the sets English. One month I did kind of diving into the PSA backlog, showing how it got where it was, projecting where it was going to go. And then Jake does a little bit of like pop report analysis. He's done some price history stuff, print runs on trophy cards. And then after that, we do like a long form Q&A. It's not just us talking to a camera and then people listening. It's actually like a live discussion in Zoom where there's back and forth and just completely open.
Yeah.
Kind of like this live, but we actually engage a lot more with the chat and
Yeah.
and people can come on video and voice too and talk openly. So
Yeah. It's funny you talk about like sometimes not needing like mods and stuff. So I have a couple mods in my chat. Professor Oak, basic trainer, Andrew is one of them. When I originally went live for the first time I ever went live was with Mason from Cardinal Gaming. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go live. I was like, I hope nothing crazy happens in the chat. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't have like anybody to regulate it at all. But the guys I mean, Professor Oak and all these guys, they've been doing a great job. But now, do you know Basic Trainer at all? One of my mods?
yeah, Ernesto's calling me out in the chat. He said I'm lying when I say everyone's respectful. We got disrespectful Ernesto in there on occasion, but
Oh, okay. Well,
it's all in
you gotta
good
have
fun.
somebody keep it a little spicy once in a while. But
We have fun in there, a little bit of spice here and there, but it's friendly, respectful fun, I would
yeah.
say.
Yeah, but so Basic Trainer, one of my mods, I know we talked about a little bit before we started recording, but he's one of the people that's going to be at the Leon Pop Shop with me
Mhm.
on Saturday. So I fly out tomorrow. I
That's
arrive
exciting.
like late Friday night, get in first, and then obviously Saturday it's going to be all at the Pop Shop, and then I fly out at like 7 a.m. on Sunday. So it's a very short time window. But I want to ask you a little bit is I know you went to the Pokemon Save the World event. Now, did you have like any sort of like reservations or weird feelings? Because we talked a little bit before in the chat. Like I have a newborn at home. At the time of Pokemon Saves the World, you also had a newborn. So what was like your feelings going into that?
Well,
And you might want to tell everyone what Pokemon Saves the World event is in the event that somebody might not know.
and Pokemon Saves the World was the box break event in October. It was, yeah, this past October 2021. So that one I went to, that wasn't the first event I had been to. My main reservations with that were COVID related, which thankfully I vaccinated and all that. I went, I didn't get it. But the first event I actually ever traveled to was 2018 Worlds, which that's when I was more in the situation that you're currently in. So
Is that where you pick up your full art trophy cards?
2019 I picked up one.
Okay.
But yeah, 2018 Worlds was in Nashville. I live in New York. So you said you're flying out tomorrow night at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
and then you're flying back
7 a.m.
7 a.m. Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
I don't remember the exact timing, but I went for like 30 hours to Nashville or 36 hours. So I flew out like a red eye early morning on a Saturday.
So So were
So
you out of like White Plains, upstate New York?
like I probably flew out of Syracuse or Albany. I forget which
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
But I flew out an early flight, 5 or 6 a.m. I probably got to Nashville late morning. I met up with a bunch of people. I didn't have a hotel room. I red-eyed out of Nashville. So I flew in Saturday morning and
Yeah.
I red-eyed out at like 6 a.m. Sunday
Holy.
morning.
So you just
And
like
I didn't go to
that's
bed.
almost like a hardcore Vegas trip.
I didn't go to bed. I ended like I met up with people, and this was I had been to one event before that, the Hartford. I'm trying to remember what year Hartford Regionals was with the collector's Charizard. That whole
Yeah, no,
that,
yeah. We talked, I think we actually talked about the collector's Charizard on this channel before.
I think that was
Yeah,
2017,
yeah, I don't remember what year. Sorry.
or was that 2019?
I couldn't even tell you.
I just pulled up a Poke Beach. That might have been actually after. So I think Nashville was my first event ever. So I had like friends that I knew from online, not from discussions like this, just from E4.
From E4. Any names we would know, like any of their usernames?
Zach, Gem at
Oh,
Pokemon,
okay. Gem,
Nick,
it was
old
it.
school Pokemon. I mean, I had talked to Scott a bunch. I met Scott there. Um, some of the moderators on E4. I don't know. Not everyone has a YouTube. Not everyone's comfortable going by like first name or anything. But well, 4 star Ethan, he has a YouTube.
4 star.
He's one of the
I
moderators on
Yeah, I know
E4.
who he is. He locks every single freaking thing I like to read on E4.
Heavy-handed mod. Hey,
He's a
Jake in the
little
chat.
he's a good guy, but my God, does he's very quick to lock things. It pisses me off all the time.
Yeah. Jake said the Hartford regionals. That must have been. We took my son, so it had to be 2019 because
Okay.
2018. Like I said, I went like on a 30 hour stint to Nashville. No hotel room. I pulled an all nighter. I ended the night like Gem at Pokemon actually. We went out to the bars and stuff. He had a room near the hotel or near the airport. So I Ubered with him back to his room that was right by the airport. He like went on Instagram live after a few beers.
So you
He,
guys
he
just had you turned up after 30 hours of
it,
partying.
it was a ton of fun. I'm so glad I went down. But like my son was like a month or two. Like it was.
It's in the back of your head, that guilt, right?
You mentioned that your wife was like wanting you to go, and my wife was very borderline on it, and she allowed me to go. And it was set up where like her sister came over. She had help and support from other family members and things, but I kind of like went out on a limb to go. And I mean, I'm glad I did because I
Yeah.
met so many great people, made so many great friendships. I went to the Hartford event several months later, and then I went to 2019 Worlds in DC. Um, and yeah, I'm here now.
Yeah. But even then, it's too bad, you weren't doing content back then because I would, it's too bad you can't really go back. And yeah, maybe Gem Mint did a live, like a spontaneous couple beers deep live, but it's too bad that there's more content doesn't exist out there. So when I go out to the
Absolutely.
Leon Hart Pop Shop, like that's one of the things I'm going to do. As for this channel, I've never ever done like what are they called, like vlogs when you're walking around and stuff. So I've
Yep.
never really like tried to do that content. I've made a couple shorts here and there, but nothing crazy. So I want to try that and see if it's a hit or a miss. Who knows?
Yeah. I really wish I had documented more. I wouldn't be like when I went to Worlds, there was a lot of people taking a lot of pictures, and we kind of created some little like Discord groups. Some of us friended each other on Facebook so we could. I'm bad at taking pictures and videos and stuff, so I wouldn't be one to make a vlog, but I would maybe like record a quick opening while I'm down there, or I would record like one of my biggest memories in the hobby was buying the number 3 full art Pikachu
Yeah,
at
that's
Washington DC Worlds.
yeah, that's I think I never knew which worlds you got that from, but I did know you had that trophy card.
Yeah, that was
Can you
DC.
walk us through like how does that even happen? Like how do you corner the winner and how does the winner not have already sold it.
I've definitely told the story somewhere on YouTube, but I don't know where, probably in one of the podcasts but the way that it worked was I went to Worlds on a mission, and the mission was to get a full art Pikachu. I
Did you
owned
just
one
go with like a bag full of cash?
and at the time the numbers were a lot smaller. I don't
Sure. I
even
mean,
know how it
everything's
would look.
a
Yeah.
bag full of cash relative to the time and date.
Yeah, I don't know how it would work today, especially if London were to happen, because
Yeah.
traveling internationally with a lot of cash, I mean, declarations need to be made. You need to be careful. Like, I don't even know how it would work logistically, but I went down to DC with a decent amount of cash on a mission to get a full art Pikachu. I already owned one at the time. I owned a number 3. So ideally, I wanted a 1, 2, or 4, but you can't really pick and choose.
No,
Whatever comes up, you go with it. So
and was Dave Pershins there too? Try.
he was there, and I believe he got, I don't know which ones he got.
I'm sure he got them all.
He has them all today. I don't know which ones he got like on the floor, but I remember him being there, and I kind of put the word out, word of mouth, like, hey, I'm going to be down there. I'm going to want some. I posted a buy thread on E4, and I had the money ready to go. In the Discord, I was actually out kind of like at an E4 dinner. There was a lot of guys from E4 out at dinner. Pokemon Radar, Nick, Zach, a lot of the same crew.
Yep.
When we were walking back from dinner, someone pinged the Discord and said, hey, one of my buddies is getting his trophy tonight and he wants to sell it. So I like peeled off from the group. I'm messaging the guy. I'm like, here's my phone number. Here's my Facebook. Here's everything. I have money. I'm paying this much. Let's make this happen. 10, 15 minutes later, I get the guy's number. He calls me and we get it. We're back and forth on numbers. And it's like, it's scary because you don't want to lose it, but you want to.
Yeah.
It ended up that like,
you're trying to play hardball, but he's holding all the cards.
oh yeah. I had
literally he's holding all the cards.
Yeah. It ended up working out though. The atmosphere in that room, because I went to his hotel room and he was literally just getting back to his hotel room with all his friends, having just
cool.
been presented. It was 3rd place. So it was a duplicate
still.
of what I had already had, but everyone
what
was
age
so
group was it? Do you remember?
He was masters.
Oh, okay.
Because it would have been tougher if it was a kid. I would have had to been dealing with a parent, right?
Yeah.
So thankfully it wasn't that kind of a situation. I was dealing with an adult and I bought their card. But the atmosphere in that room, like he was so amped. He had just won. I mean, gotten 3rd place. He had just won the consolation match, right? So he won his final match to get that number 3 Pikachu.
Now, is this card just raw right now? Not in a penny sleeve, not in the top loader, not in a card saver. Is it just raw? Like
they did it in like
one of those acrylic like
like like the acrylic stand, like PSA, the same kind of acrylic, but the size of a card.
Okay.
Like an Ultra Pro.
Okay. So in a perfect fit it was
sleeve.
Protected then.
It was in like a perfect fit sleeve, and then inside of that Ultra Pro thing.
Okay.
And then he had all the festivals too, because he got 2 semifinal, or no, he got 2 finalists, and then a semi, quarter, top 16, top 32.
Now, did you acquire those 2, or was it just?
I got all those, and then I bought almost everyone's. You know how the regular competitors get like the festival pack with English, you get Japanese. I bought almost all their packs in the room for $100 each.
Get out of here, dude. You just must have walked out feeling like $1 million. You might have walked out with $1 million, not even knew it.
And the thing was, like, it was a big group that I went out to dinner with, and I wasn't a big YouTuber at the time. I was just another guy, right? Which I'm obviously still not a big YouTuber or anything, but more people kind of know me. I kind of like just went away from the group, and probably no one even realized I was gone.
Yeah, you were just Ketchumallcollectibles from the E4 group. That's it.
So no one even realized I was gone. I think I messaged Zach, or some people were hanging out in Zach's room after dinner. So I just messaged Zach like, hey, I think I had been to his room prior, so I knew what room he was in. I found out that they were there, and So I went back to like the E4 hangout room and I had it in my backpack. My heart, I remember I called my wife before I went into the room in the
Yeah.
hallway. And I'm just like, my heart was pounding. I told her that I got the trophy that I was after and I couldn't believe it. And then I went into the room and for like 30 minutes, I just hung out, heart still like racing, not even hardly talking to anyone. I'm like, should I show people? Should I
Yeah.
not? I didn't know what to do. I ended up taking it out and showing people and like passing it around. And it was so awesome to buy it in person.
That's an awesome story, man. I'm so happy for you that you're able to, acquire that and you have a good story. And, I think it's one thing to, well, there's obviously the first thing, right? It's like the one thing is if you won that card yourself, but then there's the next level where what you kind of did. Now, I think it does lose a little bit of that luster. I don't know, like that feeling behind it after you buy it, like multiple people down the line, it's been graded, it's gone through different hands. And I think it changes a little bit like sentimental wise there. But I think the way you acquired that card, like maybe that's something I could get behind because I'm very anti trophy cards in a way. But
It's quite a common sentiment that why would you want to buy someone else's accomplishment? And for me, it was just literally like I had said, I had accomplished all my goals. Collecting is largely about the chase.
sure,
And those are near the ultimate chase, right? I mean, on the English side, that was like the optimal way to acquire the near peak card in the hobby. And because I have a 1 through 4 set. And honestly, when the day comes, I don't intend to probably die with them. I mean, I love them. They're some of the favorite cards in my collection. But like honestly, I'd rather sell the 1, 2, or 4 before I sell the 3, just because I
sure.
have that like personal
Story.
experience.
Yeah.
I have nostalgia in a way almost for that event and the way that it happened, right?
Now, has that winner ever reached back out to you? Because I'm guessing he knows who owns his card, right?
Yeah, I mean we talked on like Facebook and he has my phone number. Well, 4 years ago, I've
Yeah.
gotten new phones. But we're probably still like connected through Facebook Messenger or whatever. I've never had a winner come back to me and say like, "Hey, I really am bummed that I sold that card. Could I buy it back?"
Have
I've
you ever
never.
had anybody on eBay reach back out to you and be like, "Hey, I sold you this card. How
I don't
much
think
do you
I
get?"
ever have.
No.
I've talked with like friends because like the Neo Destiny box that I bought it from an E4 member. I've sold to a lot of E4 members. I've had people like jokingly be like, "Oh man, I wish I could buy that back from you for what I," or vice versa. But I've never had anybody, I don't think, reach back out. That was one thing I was a little worried about during the peak hype of 2020. Some of the sales that I made, I was worried they might like try to open an eBay return or try to like push things back on me when the prices started falling.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, that's a small window where you could really open up a case.
Yeah.
Or were you were thinking we were on that kind of rocket ship where it was going to be like 90-day timeline?
I mean, I don't even remember the exact trajectory, but like the Pikachu and Eevee that I was selling for several $100s, near 1,000, I
Sure.
have a bunch today that I'm selling between 100 and 150.
Which is still high for that card.
Yeah, I mentioned that a year ago when I was talking with Jake and John. I think I was selling it years ago when it was $50, and I think 50 feels reasonable. Like to just get the card in your hand if you really love Pikachu and Eevee and you want their, or well, Jungle's not the original Pikachu card, but if you want one of their early first edition cards in PSA 10, to just buy it for 50 seems reasonable. But
Yeah.
before you pay 150, I'd buy 20 of them raw and then grade one yourself. I mean, that's
Oh,
always my opinion. Like
definitely.
especially non-hollows, there's always another copy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, with those type of cards, I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
But so now let me ask you some questions. So now that you're not doing your other job, you're doing Pokemon full time. Have you found like what I know you graded a bunch of the Black Star Bumblebee Pikachu's, but have you found what you feel like your niche is now with the kind of stuff you're selling? Because everyone can't just sell first edition Charizards. You have to, and I think what you have been doing now is something that like I really respect, and I see a lot of like, good long-term growth for that is you're selling anything at this point. And especially like, some of, I guess you'd call it more the bulkier stuff to be graded, but with the big caveat that you're selling the bulkier stuff at that lower price point for graded. Now, have you found that to be your bread and butter, or is it still more the high end? And the reason why I say that is because sure, maybe you could buy a $100 card and sell it for $200, and that's a great return, 100%, right?
Mhm.
Or you grade a $2 card for $8, you're in it for $10, and now you sell it for $10. Or sorry, so I should say like $40, where maybe the dollar amounts aren't as flashy, but the profit margins are just stupid more.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's used in a derogatory manner, but like I'd almost describe myself as a jack of all trades when it comes to Pokemon, master of none. Like I don't think there's any, I'm not the best trophy guy. I'm not the best raw near mint playable card guy, modern. I'm not the absolute best at anything, but I think I have a really good grasp on broadly the market in general. And I think I just have a really good experience with buying and selling on eBay because 8 years I've been back into Pokemon, but before that I did coins, I did video games, I did like Breweriana,
So do you run multiple
brewery
eBay?
memorabilia.
Do you run multiple eBay accounts?
Right now, just I have a buying one and a selling one just to keep paperwork easier, I guess, when
Yeah.
I'm doing like tax type stuff. But it's just yeah, Ketchumallcollectibles is the only one I sell through.
But so have you found what your niche is yet though, or the things you've been most successful with, or is it really just that spread out through?
Like the things I've been most successful were I've done really well, like Grand Party, late when English set cards got expensive and crazy. I was selling those, and that's when I turned to buy. I was buying Grand Parties and Masaki sets and Scream promos
Well,
and
I
Red's
can
Pikachu.
understand Masaki's because there's like, there's what is it, 15,000?
I think Gengar's the most at like 30-ish, and then
Okay.
some of them are in the 20s. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still like, at least you kind of could understand how many are potentially out there. Like those are the only Japanese cards I could really get behind. And I always talk, I don't know, I always say I'm not a huge Japanese collector, even though I have Japanese cards. But the thing I dislike about Japanese cards the most is sometimes the market could do like, it could be like super irrational when it comes to cards because the actual population that exists for those cards can be way more. And then also, like, I'll be on the other end of the spectrum where I'm like, no, this Japanese card's way undervalued, but for whatever reason, the market's not going there yet. And especially like older Japanese WotC, or not WotC sets, but older Japanese sets have an unhollow per pack and stuff. And there's just so much that is involved in Japanese cards because in order to understand Japanese, and I'm sure you find yourself going down the rabbit hole all the time, is trying to find out how those cards are released because you might know how the English release is. And I always talk about it like the Holland's Phantom Pikachu, right? Like, sure,
Mm.
that's a beautiful gold star, it goes for a lot of money. How is the Japanese gold star Pikachu? It was like in a tin.
It was yeah, it was
You
in a
know?
that box.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like the lunch box or whatever it's called. So it's like, yeah, well, that gold star is way less money, but how many are really out there? And we'll probably never really know either.
Hmm.
Like and that's what I'm most nervous about when it comes to cards like that is I wouldn't even know where to start to figure out how many of those type of cards were released in those lunch boxes or tins or whatever you want to call them.
In certain ones, like rationality isn't always needed, and logic isn't always followed. Like certain cards overcome
Sure.
massive printing. Like Red's Pikachu was one that I personally loved the art on it. It was
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
had it on my last. Yeah.
I bought like a couple hundred of them, and at the peak they were selling for like 400. I
Yeah.
think they're still, because I've still got.
They're one of the easiest PSA 10 grades ever.
I need to look back and I need to compile all my data. I think I've never graded a 9.
I was just gonna say, I
I've
bet you it's
graded over
over
50.
90% PSA 10 rate. It's gotta be over. But I bet you've never graded a 10 with CGC.
I've never sent one to CGC.
Oh, I sent five like an idiot.
I had already had, yeah. So there's 4,136 PSA 10s, and there's about 400 total below PSA 10. So it's over a 90% 10 rate.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I need to look back. I've graded at least 50, maybe closer to 100. And I literally don't think I've graded a PSA 9.
Well,
Like,
they're an easy sell, and you're right. It's a beautiful card. It's 20th anniversary. Like it's got everything that you need. It has red, it has Pikachu. It checks
yeah.
all those right boxes, right? Especially for being a super modern promo.
Mm-hmm. And then the Scream promos, similarly, like there's not that many graded yet, not along the same lines as Red's Pikachu, but there's quite a few graded, and there's going to be quite a few more graded. And
Yeah,
I did really well with those because I enjoyed the cards a lot, and whether or not they were going to go really high, I liked them and I wanted to have a bunch. So like
I
part
am
business,
interested where
part,
those cards wind up though, because across the board, the rarity for them are different. You know, like the Mimikyu versus the Pikachu. Like,
yeah, the Mimikyu is on this tier
yeah,
rarity wise. Pikachu is highest tier
but
popularity,
it's
but
Pikachu.
the
Yeah,
tier below rarity. And then you've got Rowlet, Eevee, Psyduck. Psyduck gets that little bump because he's a little bit harder to grade.
yeah.
But I personally had pretty good luck grading Psyducks.
But I'm interested
But
to
I
see how
bought,
those play out because of kind of what you just said, though.
yeah, I bought, I mean, from my cost basis,
Where
I
you
was
get them
buying,
$20 a piece.
I was paying on Pikachu's maybe like 40 or 50.
Oh,
I
okay, so a
remember
little more than I thought.
I didn't buy too many Mimikyus because it was too expensive at like 100 or whatever it was. But I was buying sets of the 3 easy ones for like between 10 and $20.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking, like $20.
And I bought over 100 sets, and I wish I had bought over 1,000 because I could
Yeah,
have at the time probably.
there's some modern stuff coming out now that I'm even thinking about doing that now. It's like, do I want to like pick up a crap load of this because I think it's going to be good, like super modern English promos, like the Charizard Reshiram box from Walmart, that exclusive with the 10 packs in it. I'm
Mhm.
just like, man, this is going to be $100 PSA 10 in the future. I could pick up this card for $50 and the packs are free. And I'm just like, do I want to do this though? That's
Yeah.
the thing. And I'm just like, do I want, it's not a, like cards like that. I'm like, I'll grade that card when prices get down. Who knows how long I got to sit on it to get to PSA grading, but that's going to be like $100 PSA 10 in my opinion in the future.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, but do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And it's, yeah. But like, I know you've been acquiring positions at like the Green Ninja Gold Star too, and so have I. And how many people are on the chat right now? 89 people. So have 89 people watching this have been acquiring. Like, I've been picking them up when I can at $4. Now, I don't ever see like maybe like single, like one or two cards, but like I try to pick up lots when I can. And I haven't really seen those prices dropping below $4, but like that's a card I think it's going to be like a $25 PSA 10 in the future. A super bulky modern promo. It's going to cost $10 to grade, $4 to buy, and it's going to sell for 25. There's going to be a lot of money to be made there, but that's going to take a freaking long time too. And I'm like, do I want to do this?
Yeah, there's one right here, but like this Charizard, I
Oh,
saw.
from Champion's Path.
Yeah, Jake just mentioned it in the chat. I mean, I through my distributor, I got 300 or so Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes. It's a Charizard. I think they're still selling for like somewhere around $10 sealed.
Mm-hmm.
I graded 200 of them or so. Brand new promo, high 10 rates. they're selling for like 25 or 30 in
Yeah,
PSA 9s, and they're
but
selling
that's
for like
like such a
60 in
respectable
PSA
price
10.
for that. Yeah. And
And
that's
it's from some respects, it's like if the card is 10 raw and great, I mean, grading right now is 50, right? 50 is the cheapest you can pay. I'm not saying every card, the floor needs to be 50, but if you love Charizard and you love that art and you don't want to risk screwing around, waiting 2 years, waiting a year, maybe getting a 9, it's not unreasonable to go on eBay and pay 50 or 60 bucks for that card. Do I think it's going to go up? Do I think it's a good investment?
I wouldn't
No.
tell anyone. Yeah, okay.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I
yeah.
wouldn't. I mean, if you
I've
wanted
sold
it, I
100
guess,
PSA 10s. The first ones I sold were at like 200,
which is
and
stupid.
I've sold them all the way down to 60.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go significantly lower.
I think we'll see them still drop. I think the bulk, I think that's, when you think about when Champions Path came out, when a flood of the submissions came in, we're going to see a lot more of those. I bet I would expect the price to be more like the $30 range.
And if they go that low, I'll slow down the rate that I sell them. If they went to 20 or 25, I'd stop entirely selling them. I just stop. Maybe some people wouldn't though. Maybe some people graded 2,000 and they need to liquidate them. And maybe there's a 10-year period where I can't sell any because they're literally going like that. That's a reality that could happen. I just don't think it will. But that's not investment advice. That's not like that is
Yeah.
not an investable card. That is, there's a lot of them and there's going to be a lot more.
Sure. And it's kind of like when I talk about that Charizard Reshiram from the, Walmart exclusive premium collection box or whatever. It's when I talk this stuff out loud, like those aren't cards that like I would recommend anybody doing. It's just like when I think things through in my head, I'm like, I could do this, but do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you find yourself like constantly doing that struggle where it's like, yeah, I can make a couple bucks doing this, but do I want to?
Now that I'm doing it as a business, I mean, there are that's the thing. Like I'm jack of all trades, master of none.
Sure.
I am
Well,
in a good
you're an
position.
engineer, so I
Yeah.
was a petroleum engineer before what I do now, so I know what it's like.
Like I do a little bit of the high volume, low margin, modern stuff, ultra modern stuff through distributors.
Mhm.
And then I do some of the super slow, super high margin. I mean, I have a large inventory that I built up my first 7 years. I was buying, like I said, I was buying collections, selling off some fraction of the collection to get my cost basis back, and then buying another collection. For 7 years, I hoarded. I hoarded like you wouldn't believe. And now that I'm full time, I'm like unburying myself from my hoard. And by the end of the year, I might get caught up,
Yeah.
maybe, but I can't stop buying. Like up markets, down markets, there's always value to be had. Pokemon is one of the best things
You're
about
taking
it.
the words out of my mouth, man.
One of the best things about it is one of the worst things about it also. Like it's a liquid. The like when someone asks you what's the price of this card, approximately $1,000, but there might be a day that you can buy it for 700
Sure.
at an ill-timed auction. There might be a day that you can list it as a buy it now. You're the only one on eBay. You might get 13 or 1400.
Yeah.
So like everything has a massive range. And if you just buy towards the low end of that range and sell towards the high end of that range, you do well. And that's what I do. Modern, vintage, graded, ungraded mostly through Troll and Toad Evo, but I kind of do it all.
Yeah. You seeing any good questions in the chat? I know we haven't really been looking at the chat, guys, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to write it at the chat right now.
Yeah, I've been bad with the chat. I did look up quickly. There's 11,660 PSA 10s of that card right now.
I probably could have told you it was up there. I watched that a couple months ago. I think it was just hit like the 10,000 mark. So
it's still holding at $50 to $60. I have, so I'm getting down. I think I might only have like 20 left, but I probably have 100 something more at PSA still.
So if you wanted to do a pro modern, but then segue it into a pro vintage argument. Like that is one of those cards that I always use for, I don't know what you want to call it. I always use that as a debate point for people for both pro modern and pro vintage. So I use it as a pro modern debate where I'm saying, listen, look at this super bulky modern promo. It's got a fan favorite Charizard on it. Look at how much it's selling for, and then look at how many are graded. So look at the total value of that card if you add it all together.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
like
I
the
use it
market
as
cap.
also a pro vintage argument where I'm saying, look at this card. There's only 40 graded in the last 20 years.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like this
Think
card
about
has
it.
over 10,000 PSA 10 examples, and
Yeah,
it's holding at $60.
which is crazy to me.
Just recently through Heritage, I don't remember exactly what I paid for each one, but these are the kind of cards I'm buying right now.
Oh, for the Neo for alligators.
Like these are CGC 9, Watsy. I mean Neo, Jim. I mean this one's a 9.5.
Oh
I
yeah, the
paid I
Togepi.
paid a little
That
over a
that's
hundred
a
bucks for
hard card
these.
to grade in 10. That might be a good crossover for first edition. Oh, the Celebi, yeah.
Like some of these cards, would you rather have two of these or would you rather have that?
Oh, come on. What kind of question is
Like
that?
that's exactly like that's largely that's my business. I'm selling what I can replace. I have
Yeah,
100, 200 more of those at PSA,
sure.
and I can buy another 1,000 tomorrow if I wanted to grade more 5 years down the line. But
Now,
like this card, I can't replace this raw mint. I can't
you
buy a box and open it.
well, that's the thing too, is now so you bought that as a 9 already graded?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your answer right there. Like, and I've talked about this in other streams before. The people is like, it's sometimes very hard to pick up, solid near mint cards on eBay because how it is when you pick up raw cards. It's like easy for people to hide edge wear, like a certain tilt of the card or a certain whitening on the corners. But like they're right there with that card, that's going to be a PSA 9, and it's without even seeing it, it might have a shot at a 10.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
which which is crazy to think about. And I think there's just so much opportunity there. But I
And
see some people asking questions now in the chat. See,
I think some people take offense in a way when you say that a CGC 9 could become a PSA 10. PSA 9s can become PSA 10s too.
oh hell yeah,
Like
there's
and they frequently do. There's so much overlap. People see the grades as like distinct separate boxes,
oh
but
no, that's
it's a
why it's a big
spectrum.
yeah.
It's a spectrum, and there's so much overlap between all the grades, like
Well,
plus or minus one at best. So
that's why
if you
yeah.
buy a 10, expect anywhere between a 9 and 10. If you buy a 9, expect between an 8 and a 10. Sometimes plus or minus two. They're
Yeah,
not
but
as consistent as people like to think.
that's talk when we've been saying it forever now, talking about strong tens versus weak tens. People must
Mm.
hear us and think like, you guys don't know anything you're talking about. There's no such thing as a strong 10 or a weak 10. It's a 10, it's a 10. But uh I wish I could remember what card is, but Rusty did a video like 2 months ago where he cracked a PSA 9 because he thought it was a 10 contender and he got
Mm.
it back. It came back an 8. I don't remember what card it was though. So
He makes a
it
lot of
happens.
videos. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I mean, that stuff is, and people have been cracking. I mean, I think it's the whole cracking PSA slabs to send back to PSA. I think that has changed a lot because of turnaround times and prices. But now be able to remove yourself from 2022, 2021, 2020, go back to 2015, that stuff makes a lot of sense.
And
And
and like upcharges are going to be a thing forever now, I think. But if PSA really gets up to the 20 million cards a year that they say they will, they'll likely get grading costs back down close to $10 a card. And they'll likely get turnaround times back down to 3 or so months at the most for like bulk tiers. Cracking is going to become a thing again. It's always been a thing to an extent. It will be a thing forever. PSA 10 pops are like, once they enter a PSA 10 case, very rarely do they leave them.
yeah,
Logan's Charizard left for a BGS 10 case, right?
which
That's the exception.
And but he did it as a true crossover, which I mean, I don't want to get into the true crossover, submission route versus the cracking the card and resubmitting it raw. Like
Well, he
I'm
said he
on the
cracked it.
no, they cracked it and sent it.
They said in one of their podcasts, or they said there's a video of him cracking it, and someday he might share it. But he said he cracked it and sent it raw because
I never see. I didn't know that. I thought he did it as a true crossover.
Gary had sent it in case and it failed to cross to a 10. Logan, the story is that he cracked it and he got the 10.
That's news to me. I bet you that's not true.
That's what he definitely claimed that somewhere.
Really?
Whether or not it's true, supposedly there's a video of him doing it, and they talked about potentially posting it somewhere. It's never been posted yet, but
I would love to see that.
it would be very interesting to see whether or not it's true. I have no idea, but that's the claim, at least. Yeah.
Because I think that's like a lot of when people talk about like crossing over CJCs to PSA in the future. I feel like that's a question I've seen people kind of ask. It's, well, would you want to send it as a slab and do it as a true crossover? Would you want to crack it and submit it? And like my personal opinion is I would never not crack it. I would always crack the card.
You have to crack it. It makes no sense whatsoever that a grader can like see the card obscured through the plastic and then override the previous grader's opinion who saw it raw. Like that. That's my take on it.
And I think they would be biased. And I just think
ego wise, do you think PSA is going to take this and they're going to see a CGC 9 and I put a minimum grade PSA 10? Well, I'm not getting a 10.
Well, and think about it too this way, Dan. If you're a PSA grader and you're flying through cards, like if you get a 9 in your hand, you're going to say, I'm going to spend maybe 2 more seconds to find out why did this get a 9? And I think that just them spending 2 seconds when they're only spending 4 seconds on your card, have now increased the amount of time of looking at your card by 50% to look for an imperfection. They will find it.
Oh, definitely.
Like I have plenty of 10s downstairs. Like I could find an imperfection if I spent enough time looking at every one,
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from Tabletop Gamer 99. He said, Poke Knowledge, when you crack vintage boxes, how do you store and care for all the bulk? Top loader, everything, ? Binder. So my answer for this is penny sleeve everything. It's the cheapest way. You literally get a pack of 100 penny sleeves, get 4 packs if you're going to do a whole booster box, penny sleeve everyone, and then top load, I card saver all the hits. But I don't know. Do you have an answer for that?
Back when I was cracking $400 Fossil and Jungle boxes, it was penny sleeve and card saver and grade the hollows.
Yeah.
Monster box the rest. And I think cards are stronger than most people give them credit for, because I've pulled from that and graded so many 10s.
I've done the same thing with bulky cards before. Yeah.
Cards that were stored raw for years in monster boxes and handled and moved. And I'm grading high 10 rates for a lot of those cards still. Some of those I did go back through and I've like penny sleeved them since. But when I was opening them back then, if I were to open a Fossil box today, which I did do like less than a year ago, penny sleeve everything.
Yeah. So let's see. We got Shabal said to both of us, he had a question. Oh, wait, it's not a question. He just said we should start an R&B boys band. Fire. Thanks, Shabal. You're a funny guy. So Smitty said, can you guys touch on the PWCC weekly auction and the above average prices? People are lining up to pay above market plus 20% apparently. So Smitty, my last live, I talked about this, that the prices that the last PWCC week, well, I guess it's technically the first ever PWCC weekly auction, but I bought 0 cards. And I don't know about you, Dan, how many cards you bought, but the prices for those, stupid. Like, none of them made sense. Like the rationality for these prices. I saw 6s going for more than 7s, 7s selling for the price of 9s. It was
I honestly,
a lot going on.
I didn't even look too closely at it. I made that quick video. I was very upset with PWCC, not for the change from monthly to weekly. I mean, that's whatever. It's their business decision. I preferred the monthly because it was more of an event. We actually used to do like a monthly voice in our Patreon Discord. Weekly's like kind of too much though. That's a lot to commit to. But the thing that really annoyed me was the buyer's premium that they added in. You couldn't even see it when you were placing a bid.
Yeah,
I,
so I saw it though when I put my bid
they
in.
changed it on like Wednesday mid
Oh,
auction block or Tuesday
fair.
or Wednesday. But because I made a video, like I actually went in, I was logged in, I placed a bid. I did a video comparing the bids on Heritage, Golden, and PWCC.
Yeah.
And PWCC, you couldn't see the buyer's premium until you were the high bidder. And then they didn't show you the buyer's premium based on your max bid, what it could potentially be won for, just on the current bid. It was really, I'm sure it was like it's a new
Oh,
thing.
yeah, I
Their
didn't think about
excuse would
that.
be it was new.
Yeah.
My counter would be you didn't have to go live with it. No one was like forcing you to go live with that change. When
It
they were
didn't make
thrust
any
off,
sense either.
yeah, when they were thrust off eBay, some bumps and stuff, hiccups could be accepted, but their transition from like no buyer's premium to buyer's premium and monthly to weekly, that was their own choosing to set the date when to do that. Do some more like testing beforehand. Don't go live with such a broken product.
Yeah. And
That was terrible.
even searching, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of issues with PWCC just between searching cards. Like, do you know how many cards go under the radar just because people don't even know they're on there because there's like no easy way to search them?
They don't have all the like eBay, like you can use an asterisk or you can use the minus or you can use like parentheses. They don't
Or
have
you
any of
can
that.
misspell a word. If you misspell one word by accident, it's going to come up with 0 listings, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter like what the listing you're looking for is. It's there was like there was that fossil error card that like everything was cut weird. I don't even know what the name of it is. What was the? It was like a last month or two, but I wasn't able to like locate it by searching it. Uh, so that's the answer to that question, Smitty. Uh, seeing any other good questions in the chat? Uh,
No, I'm bad. Let me see if I can find where you were.
so Wingle90 said, seems like Legend Arceus is being received very well. I wonder if it will bring some more people back to Pokemon, but it's good the company is adapting such reaching the next generation. And so Wingle, I mean, if you want to talk, I'm guessing because of like what this channel is and what you're asking is maybe you talking about maybe more like the TCG aspect. Will it bring more people to Pokemon that way? And right now with modern cards, like Pokemon's doing it right, man. There's very few misses, but a lot of hits. Now I know people are argumentative because of the size of sets recently and the pull rates and how hard it is and how many booster boxes, how many packs you got to buy. Like I could get behind that because like me and Dan, we come from that vintage time when you could easily complete a master set of even as a kid, where now you can't complete a master set as an adult with a 6-figure salary.
Yeah,
So
you open 1,000 packs and you're missing like 8 cards.
exactly. So I could understand that, but if you mean like I think Pokemon's still doing it right though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot for modern. I feel like I'm pretty easy to please. I don't think Battle Styles or Chilling Reign were like absolutely terrible, but I loved Celebrations. I think Celebrations was like a good overview, a good like they kind of pulled one or two cards from every year of the 25-year history, right? And I think they
It
did a
was one of the
great
most
job.
fun sets to open that
Really fun.
I could
Yeah.
remember.
I think it served the history of the TCG very well because they
Yep.
just grabbed you had your level X's, you had your shining, you had
Your
all,
primes.
all the different your gold star. all the different like ultra rares throughout the years.
Hmm.
Most of them, I guess, not all
No
of them.
e-reader cards, but
Yeah.
that's just a sore subject.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. And the funny thing about celebrations, which I think people are actually afraid to talk about, and I don't feel like we use the word afraid a lot in this hobby, but the big thing everyone talks about for celebrations is that it's just going to be printed so much of, and it's going to continue to be printed. I'm always curious, like, what would happen if they stop printing celebrations? Like, if there are no reprints of it, if it's just done. Hold on, I gotta move a box. Oh, Tyranitar.
I just bought a collection today that had
Awesome.
it had a lot of WotC stuff,
Yep.
but yeah, a little bit of Expedition Aquapolis. I don't know if
Yep.
I had any Skyridge in this one.
Let me see some. How did you? So there's 5 hollows, huh? Or any of those non-hollows?
One's the non-hollow. Or no, I guess two of them are the non-hollows and two of them are the hollows from Expedition and Aquapolis.
That's awesome. Was it a lot on eBay?
No, it was somebody who reached out to me. It was a pretty big, it's hard to show, but it's like Jungle
So it's.
Fossil, Rocket,
Oh, I like the Umbreon. Yeah.
some Neos.
Yep.
It's most, oh, there's actually a
Oh
gold
yeah, the
star in
movie
there.
promos. Yep.
Where'd it go?
Oh, so some reverse hollows from Legendary Collection too. The
There was a,
Ammonite.
there it is. Gold star
Oh,
in
Gold
there.
Star. Yeah, Groudon.
It was like mostly light play, near mint type stuff.
So that's actually a pretty weird.
Gym
Oh,
Heroes.
Blaine's Charizard's Erica's Venusaur. Yeah,
It was like somebody getting out of the hobby, just basically
that's
selling their
that's
entire
a
collection. Some,
that's a weird collection too, because it's very rare do you see gold stars with that real early WotC stuff in the same lot.
yeah, it was, and then it went all the way out. Like there's some hidden fates.
Oh, really?
I don't know if Jake's still in the chat, but we got some of his baby shinies.
Oh yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't expect to see like such a wide variety in a collection buy like that, and especially the guy didn't have any of that stuff graded too.
This box was the graded.
Oh, sorry, I gotta keep like changing screen. Okay.
Shining Mewtwo, Charizard, Shining
Yep.
Charizard.
Yep.
Lower grades you see, but
Any gold stars in that?
no graded gold stars, but a bunch of, he had almost all the unlimited
Oh yeah, yep. The Shinins.
Neo
The
Shinings.
Raichu's obviously my favorite Shinins. Are those any of them first edition? They're all unlimited.
The Shinings are all unlimited. But
That's still a nice buy.
it was a cool set to put together, or a cool set to pick up all together. It was just like a complete collection.
So let me ask you a question like that. So obviously you buy it, you're going to get it at a price point that works for you, and there's going to leave a lot of meat on the bone. So why do you think somebody with a collection like that doesn't spend the time to piece it out and maximize their money? Because I could, if those were my cards, like I just don't, I can't imagine a situation where I would sell all those. And even in a financial breakdown, I still wouldn't.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like the easiest answer is life. Like I have no idea what's going on in their life, but for whatever reason they're deciding to step away from the hobby. It seems like they're selling their whole collection. It's really time consuming to go through and sell a collection of this size. Well, it's not like a massive collection, but there's over a dozen graded cards, and then there's like this is the stack of WotC hollows where a lot of the value is, but it's all light play near mint.
Sure.
You start selling light play near mint cards on eBay, it's a big hassle. A lot of returns, a lot of people asking for extra photos.
Yeah, it's almost worth it, honestly, Dan, for cards like that to just spend the well, I guess you can't spend $8 to have them graded anymore. Just have them come back fives.
Yeah. No, it's so in one way, like it's almost like pulling off the band-aid. The guy sent his collection to me. I paid him all at once. He's got the money for whatever he needs it for in life, or just ripping off the band-aid, get it all over at once. He doesn't have to go through deal with eBay messages, deal with eBay returns, deal with potential mail losses, and all the stresses of things like that, that's my business. So I'm fine taking it all on. And maybe he has a really negative outlook on where it's headed. Maybe he thinks prices are headed down another 50% in the coming year or two.
I
If
guess,
that were
but you
the
don't
case,
acquire cards like that. I don't know. I guess my brain just doesn't let me get there, even with what you're
no,
saying.
clearly I bought it, so I don't think we're headed that way.
Yeah,
But someone could. I think someone could reasonably say, like, I just want to dump all these today for this price. And yeah, I wash my hands of it. My work is done. I've got a nice big payday all at
sure.
once. My risk and my work are over with, and I've just
Yeah.
got money now.
But I think maybe that's where I would struggle too, is kind of with what you said, is if you think Pokemon's gonna crash tomorrow, then yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. But if, like, for me, I just can't get behind that. So
Oh no, I clearly wouldn't have quit my job to do this full time if I thought like very I've been called pessimistic recently for some of my takes and some of the things that I've said. Like, I truly think with the amount of volume that's coming back from PSA as the backlog unwinds,
mhm,
and then the amount of volume that will just be continually pumped onto the market from PSA's grading of 10 to 20 million cards a year, I think that's going to put downward pressure on a lot of cards, 90+% of cards in the hobby. But me and you and most of the people in this live, we collect, like, generally speaking, the good 10%
yeah,
largely.
yeah.
I'm talking about that Charizard in the middle. And again, like, that's not to say you're
But
stupid if you buy that for 50 or $60.
yeah,
If
so
you buy it thinking it's going to go to 1,000, I mean, I don't want to call anyone
oh
stupid, but
yeah,
that's
so
not
I
very smart.
downward pressures, like what you're saying is, yeah, I could understand like the bulkier cards, but I'm almost at the point where, while you're great and you're grading a lot of those cards, but you're doing it with the sole thought in mind to flip those cards and make a profit from them. Like, I would never be able to just get behind the thought of grading all those cards to have them as part of my collection. So I think that's the separation too, where people don't understand is, I'm a big, and I guess it's like that weird conversation is like, do pop reports matter to you? And for me, the answer is like, yes, all the time they do. And when I look at pop reports, I'm really looking at the older stuff, because I'm looking at like, where's my downside on some of these cards? If I could have a card that's graded in as 40 total population, like with 3 of them graded in a 10, and I have one of those 10s,
Hmm.
or 6 10s, and I have one of those 10s. What's the chances that that 6 10s ever gets to 10,000? And then for my answer to that is over my dead body, like some of those cards where I guess it's like, how can you rationalize things in your brain? How can you make it make sense to you? But Pikachu asked, Poke Knowledge, serious question. Do you return your grocery cart when you're finished? Why do you think people choose to not return them? Laziness, entitlement. So I'm gonna answer his question
You're
with,
familiar with the
yeah,
background, right?
yeah. The background of that's fantastic. But so people that don't return their shopping carts back, those are the worst type of people.
They're bad people.
Bad people.
It's
Bad
the
people.
true litmus test for like such a simple act that
Yeah.
helps your fellow man, that oftentimes no one's going to be there to like see you not do
Yeah.
it, or no one's going to know unless you tell YouTube and
Yeah.
hundreds or a couple thousand people that watch your podcast that you don't.
What are those ink blots called, where like psychiatrists will show you, be like, what do you see here? Do you think Nick sees that and he's like, me not putting the shopping cart back?
uh,
uh uh so Quad Shot said, what do you guys think of the green shiz I dare with cards using WADA grading scales? 9.8. Oh, like point, no, I couldn't get behind that. I wouldn't want to ever go past half grades.
yeah,
Wait,
I think half grades already aren't needed. That's one thing that the biggest thing holding CGC back, one, is how hard they grade. Two is having the half grade kind of stealing a lot of those away from the 10 grade.
Yeah.
People want 10s. People want easy 10s. No matter what they tell you, like when people grade, they want easy 10s. When people buy a graded card, they want their 10 to be nicer. But
Yes.
overall, like people want to be able to complete sets in PSA 10, and PSA checks those boxes. People
Well,
don't want half grades, mixed grade sets.
the thing about tens is when it comes to the long-term play, the long-term viability of your collection, the best liquidity in your collection is that 10, because 10 sell for market price. Now, what that market price is in the future it's anybody's guess, right? But whatever the market price in the future is for a 10, it will sell for a 10. It's when you start going to those lower grades, there sometimes stops being market prices and it's whatever somebody's willing to pay for those lower grades. Does that make sense? Like an 8.5, I think we're very far away from there being serious like market prices for 8.5s for some of these cards. I think you'll be able to find some comps, some recent sales, but it's going to be very subjective and it's going to really depend on the buyer. I just think the liquidity of a 10, in my opinion, is much easier than the psychological impact of an 8.5 for a lot of people. And then adding on different grading card companies.
Yeah, there's very few cards in our hobby that are like fleshed out enough to where an 8.5 earns a consistent premium over an 8. And I don't know if we'll ever get there. Like probably some
Yeah.
base set first edition, maybe some gold stars. But one of the big things you run into is, generally speaking, people are usually either like PSA 10, PSA 9, or PSA 8 collectors. Some people do like the 1 through 10. Some people do all different kinds of things. But generally speaking, like I don't know if I've ever met a straight 8.5 collector. They only collect 8.5s. A lot of sets you wouldn't be able to complete it probably.
Especially if you were a PSA collector, like I think there was a small time window where like a shitload of PSA
Oh,
8.5s came out,
I
but
made a thread on E4 about it because
did you? Yeah, I mean that was a while, but I think like I don't know, I feel like PSA might have came and kind of nipped that in the bud a little bit, because it's I think it still happens, but it's not as like rampant as it was.
yeah, I'd rather get in 8.5. I've regraded, I've cracked and regraded several dozen of them by now, probably not 100, but several dozen. I've never gotten a repeat 8.5. It's
Oh,
always gone to an 8, 9, or a 10. And I've gotten a 10 from a cracked
really?
8.5.
That's impressive.
So, a measurement that can't be repeated isn't valid. So I
Correct.
always say a PSA 8.5 is an invalid grade.
I
CGC, on the other hand, they'll give you 8.5s all day long. That grade is very repeatable. That's a valid grade that
yeah.
pops up too much.
I'm waiting for the guy that just has a lot of money or the big channel. Like if I like, let's say I in a hypothetical world had a big enough channel where the ad revenue could pay for me to grade a bunch of cards. Like, man, you know how many subgrade cards I would love to submit to CGC and watch them come back like wildly different with subgrades.
Oh, yeah. One thing I just posted about this on E4, I think recently, but there was some discussion going on, and like one thing PSA should be doing, they should have like 100 or 500 control cards that they resubmit through. It
And
would have to be like very like base unlimited Charizard, first edition jungle Eevee. It would have to be cards that the graders see
all the time.
a ton so
Yeah.
that they didn't know. Like you can't do a 1 of 1 Mike Trout or a 1 of 1
Mhm.
LeBron James that, oh, I had this card last week. But they should be going through the graders. They should be measuring the repeatability, the reproducibility of grader versus grader, and then grader versus themselves over time.
Yeah.
They're not doing that.
No.
There's no way. If you could, like similar to you, if I was a multimillionaire and I'd probably have better things to do, but I would love to just send 500 cards to PSA 20 times over the next 10 years, the same 500 cards,
Yeah.
and then put that data out there. It would be abysmal.
Oh, you would like crush them.
No one would believe it. The thing is, people that didn't want to believe it wouldn't believe it because they'd
Yeah.
have to trust me. that these 500 are the same. But one, PSA is not measuring that data. They're not, that data doesn't exist.
No.
Two, if I were to generate that data, the people who wanted to believe it would, the people who didn't want to believe it wouldn't.
Yep.
So
And
I'd
you
get
would
nowhere.
have spent tens of thousands of dollars over a decade for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would, and all you would get to do is just say, I told you so.
Yeah. And I would say I told like the portion of the hobby that wanted to believe me and agree with me would, and then the other portion wouldn't. So yeah, it would be a fruitless endeavor and a very expensive one. Ancient Mew asked if they should crack a CGC 9.5 first edition hollow Aerodactyl. Yes, if it's a PSA 10. No, if it's a PSA 9. That's my take.
I would say do it,
Well,
because that is a card you could replace.
if you're never gonna sell it, like if it's a personal collection thing, the number and the name on the card changing doesn't change the card. Like say it becomes a PSA 10 and you're gonna keep it forever. In my opinion, there's no sense doing it because you're just spending money and you're not getting a better card. You're getting a
Yeah,
better, more accepted grade. But like if
I'd
you
do it.
intend to sell, I would say definitely crack and grade it with PSA if it's a 10. If it's
Yeah.
a 9, I'd sell it at a slight premium to a PSA 9.
Listen, I would say do it. So this is what happens. You submit it to PSA, it gets a 10. Congratulations, it got a 10. If it doesn't get a 10, it gets a 9. You sell that 9, make more money than a 9.5 cost, then buy a 9.5, and all the money you have left over from selling your PSA 9, put it in your pocket. Like, that's how I look at that. Like, that's a card you could replace. Now, are CGC grading a lot of 9.5s? Who knows? Tabletop Gamer 99 said, Pokeknowledge, I sent off 6 cards to CGC. I got a 9, 9.5, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Did I get lucky, or does my lack of 8.5s mean that I'm just amazing at picking cards? Dude, I don't know what you sent. Did you send all what me and Dan were talking about earlier? Did you send all Reds Pikachus? Like, then you did really bad. I don't know what cards you sent. Like,
Very small sample size
are you
too.
telling
Yeah.
me you sent all like Shadowless Charizards? Then you did really good. I don't know without knowing what cards those are. Did you do all pack fresh like Vivid Voltage cards? And you did actually pretty good. But yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about, Dan?
I'm trying to think. I think we covered what we had talked about in the couple minutes before we went live.
So let me ask you, so now that you're kind of moving into more like doing this full time, but now you're getting into more of the content creating, how's that like journey been for you, growing your channel and stuff? And if in the very, very small chance that anybody out here is watching this video and you're not subscribed to Dan, trust me, there at the end of this video, there will be a link to his YouTube channel. Give him a subscribe. But what's that journey been like for you?
I appreciate that. It's definitely been aided by other nice people in the hobby like yourself. Like I definitely
Not a lot of people call me nice though.
I definitely like my first video on my channel was a podcast with Nick, Old School Pokemon. So I came out of the gates with like the benefit of collaborating with other people. I mean, early on we had Z&G Emporium, we had several different people on our podcast. I mean, I collaborated with Jake on different things too, and I'm continuing to collaborate with him. So I think collaborating with other people in the hobby is the most rewarding content that I make. This is the content that I enjoy making most. So it's rewarding in that way. And it's also the most rewarding. I think it really gets your name out there. It gets you more recognized and known in the community. I mean, I doubt it'll do too much my way to you, but like, I mean, I
don't.
Hopefully
I think
some amount.
having people like you on this channel is the whole reason something like my channel exists. Is I want to showcase people that are net positives and not what I consider like net negative. So
Yeah, and like you said, I think there's a lot of overlap between our viewer base, but I'd imagine you're going to get some amount of new people from my channel to come find you, and then I'm going to get likely a larger portion from your channel to come find me, and mutually beneficial. I think we have good conversations that just benefit the people listening and engaging in the live chat. But it's been a lot of fun. Like we were saying earlier on, there's a lot of things I did in my first several years in the hobby that I wish I had captured on video to one, to revisit myself, but two, to share with the community, just out of interest and entertainment for people. And I like to think that I'm going to do a lot more exciting things in the future too. So I'm hoping to continue to capture them all. It's pretty crazy to think, like, relatively speaking, I'm an extremely small channel, but sometimes I've had the conversation with Nick, I've had the conversation with some other people. It's crazy to think, like, me and you talking right now, there's several dozen people hanging out for a couple hours, just having a good time. Like, it's crazy to think that you reach that many other people and
oh,
you
Dan, one of the things I always say to all my listeners, and it's like, I think it's the biggest compliment I could ever get, is I always say to everybody, I'm like, your most valuable resource is not money. Like, it might seem like that sometimes to people, but your most valuable resource is time. So
oh,
anytime somebody
absolutely.
watches this video and gives me their most valuable resource, like, I can never thank people enough for that, because like, for me, that's worth way more than anything else. So like what you were kind of saying and alluding to is just the fact that people are willing to like spend time with us is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it, like you said, it's a net positive. It's a benefit to everyone involved. I think we can all learn new things from each other. We can all benefit from just the community aspect, sharing the experiences, sharing the journey together. And unfortunately, I mean, you're going somewhere this weekend, but travel's been difficult the past couple of years. Hopefully, in the next year or two, we return to some amount of normalcy, and meeting in person is like next level, obviously, to this. And
This
it's
is
it's
this is the first time I'll be on a plane in a couple of years just because of everything that's been going on.
yeah, it's so the in-person events, the two worlds I went to, the Hartford collectors event, so much fun. Vegas, Pokemon Saves the World, a lot of great memories, a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I see Mason's in the chat. Good to see you, Mason. So we did get an answer. It kind of went by. Where did it go? So he graded the 5 cards he graded was Hidden Fates, Full Art, and 5 Magic cards. So Hidden Fates, if you got a 9 for a pack fresh full art, I'd say that's pretty standard. Now I don't know about Magic cards. I don't grade Magic cards.
Yeah, I don't know about Magic either.
Smitty said, "You guys aren't afraid to call it like it is. Keep fighting the good fight for the hobby, fellas." Mason's in the chat. Let's see. Ancient Muse said another stream with Echo would be awesome. Yeah. Have you ever talked to Joe from Echo Base or Joe Echo Base Collectibles?
I was on Swami's channel once, and he was supposed to be in that live, but he had something come up and wasn't able to make it. I've watched a bunch of his content, but yeah, I haven't been on anything like this with him yet.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. Uh, so do you have any like the cards are you're hunting for right now? I know you said you've completed a lot of like your English set cards and stuff like that. Are there now, so how do you separate yourself as being a collector versus, I mean, I guess you're a business owner now, or I mean, yes, you're only have one employee, but it's you. But like, how do you separate yourself from being a collector for all these years? Because you don't become a business without being a collector first. And I'm sure you probably could agree with that statement. But how do you now separate that?
The answer is that almost everything is treated as inventory. Things that I like more, things that are harder to replace, I price higher with respect to
Mm.
the market.
Yes.
Things that I'm getting like that, I go on eBay and I price it the lowest on eBay, and I move it on.
What is the one to the left? Is that base set Squirtle?
Anyone who watched my big pickup, so
Oh, is that the one with
from
the sunglasses? Oh, it
it's
is.
it's
Okay.
Squirtle Squad.
Did you see the little hype video I made? The little, oh, you did see it,
I
the
love
short.
that. Oh, that was something I wanted to ask you actually. I'm almost a year into YouTube now.
Yeah.
I use Windows Video Editor when I need to take like 3 seconds off of the beginning or the end of my video.
Yeah.
I don't know how to overlay images. I don't know how to overlay music. I don't know how to do anything.
So
Like,
I've
do you,
I've never processed a single video on my computer with the exception of lives. Every single video I've ever made that short was done with my phone.
oh wow.
I
What
did I did that on my lunch break when I after I talked to you.
it's an Apple?
Yeah, just Apple iMovie.
See, that's
So
like the few people that I know, like Nick has an Apple. He does on the inbuilt video editing software.
so
Most
like
people that I've asked, that's their answer. I'm on PC, so I
so
need
like
to.
this is what I did on my phone to make that. It's just
I
it's,
love that thing. Like just
it's
some of your older style videos where like you're not even on face cam, you just
yeah,
have like
the
that one
meme.
image, and then you have like all the memes scrolling.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I don't know how to do that.
I've done every video through my phone, so I would just record it right into my phone. I have like a little microphone. Yeah.
There might be something, maybe Android has something, but I don't know. I need to figure out, like, I'm not going to turn into Deep Pocket Monster or anything like that, obviously, or Pokemon Classics. But I'd like to be able to do very minor edits, overlay some images or text. I need to figure that out soon.
Yeah. I don't know if Basic Trainer is trolling or not, but he said, Pokeknowledge and Dan, I bought two G.I. Joe booster boxes for $25 each. Should I hold, flip, crack to see if they were resealed with first edition base packs?
I'd crack them. I think they could be resealed with something big. You never
Dude,
know.
send me some GI Joe packs. If I thought about buying some just to make content out of it because I can make it. I don't know if you've seen any of my resealed pack videos or anything that I've done.
You didn't you mention that you didn't you send one to Rattle and he was gonna.
Yeah, he did open it on one of his videos. It's like at the end of one of his, I think it's like mail day.
Oh, okay, I must admit, I remember you talking about it in one of yours. I did see the one Rusty had that thing happen, and I
Yeah.
saw the one where you were like pushing cards out of the Evolving Skies pack,
Yeah.
and then you resealed it with the
Jose Canseco. That Jose Canseco. So you haven't seen like my older videos, but that Jose Canseco has been in like a dozen of my videos. He keeps appearing in packs of cards. But yeah. But I was like, man, I should make, and then I made a short. I don't know if you saw the short where I pulled the actual GI Joe out of the pack.
the villain guy,
Yeah, it was the actual like figure.
Cobra Commander. Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that one.
but
Yeah.
man, if I could get my hands on some actual GI Joe cards, I got some like big plans for that stuff. And then maybe we'll send some of that stuff to PSA. And then how popular of a video would it be? Can you imagine if I could sneak a resale pack past PSA and they graded it with GI Joe cards in it?
People have done it. I mean, people have been like fraudulently taken. Like someone years ago bought a
Oh,
base first pack, cracked it, and it
oh
had like unlimited cards in it.
yeah. Well, yeah. People have been doing that forever. Like,
Someone in the past year, though, they did a thread on E4 where they said, like, hey, I wanted to test PSA. I resealed a pack myself to see if they'd catch it, and they graded it. And
mhm.
then people were like, why the hell did you do that? People like scolded them off. And I think they like left and never really, no resolution to that story.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in testing people. I think I think recolored cards are going to be the biggest thing that comes out of 2021
I,
for,
you said that just recently. I remember hearing that in one of your recent ones.
yeah. That's
I've not run into too many. I don't think I've
you wouldn't
ever
know,
had a
and you wouldn't
card.
You wouldn't even know if you did.
Yeah, I've never had a card rejected for it, but maybe that's the problem, right? Like maybe I've bought a collection where they've been it's not something I've looked too close for.
Yeah. I don't want to get into like how it's done, but like there's the only way. I don't even We could talk like maybe another time if you want to know. Like I'll tell you exactly like what to look for.
Hmm.
And but there's a way around it. Like I guess it's good to tell people what to look for. I don't have a card near me, but like a way you could tell recolored cards is cards are different layers, right? Like you could, if you ever take it, I always tell people at home, like take an energy card and just like unpeel it. And then you got like your different layers. But a recolored card sometimes on the edges of your cards are white. They're
Yeah,
not,
like
yeah,
if
they're
you hold
white.
a stack like this, they usually stand out, right?
Yeah. So you would see an actual like dot on it. And usually it would be at the corner. And like
Yeah.
a bad recolor job, it like bleeds into the card stock kinda, and like you can see it through the side. But that's the thing. That's a bad recolor. So a good recolor, the person wouldn't let that happen. And if they don't let that happen, there's a chance the grader will let that go by. And I just think that that will come up in the future more. And it's would be almost impossible to go back and tell, you know?
Peak that Chu asked the question. Do you think all of the Japanese Worlds promos are back in Japan with collectors? They never come up as singles outside of a complete set. All the Japanese Worlds promos. You mean like the more recent ones, like the Victory Cup, the Victory Decoration, more modern ones like that? Peak that Chu?
or is he talking about like the world's promos that came like the Japanese versions of like tropical winds and stuff like that? Is he talking about? Didn't the Japanese world promos have those?
I'm honestly not too familiar with the earlier ones, but like the new like tropical beaches up through Champions Festivals, those ones come in a sealed pack with one of each language that every competitor gets: Japanese, English,
Yeah, yeah.
EU.
Yeah, I don't know the answer for that. Sorry, Pikachu. Tabletop Gamer 99 said, Poke Knowledge cards. I recently got 8 base set unlimited cards. Uh, Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, Alakazam, Nidoking, Hitmonlee, Zapdos, all PSA 910 candidates, in my opinion. What service price should I send them at? I would say just sit on those for a little bit and wait for PSA's prices to drop a little bit. You know, even at a 910, like you take such a risk at selling those or sending those at $50. And assuming that's if you get the lottery system. Did you get any? Were you lucky today? I wasn't. I
So
got I got like my number was like 2,497. I was like 3 below 2,500. And I think right when it got to around 500, it shut me off.
I had 6 numbers.
Smart. I need to do that.
So my PC, I had Google Chrome and then
Yeah.
Microsoft Edge,
I didn't even think of
regular
that.
and incognito. And then my phone, I had 2 more.
I should have did that.
Nick and I talked about it at the very end of our podcast that went live earlier today. PSA it's terrible what they're doing, in my opinion, making people pay $100 to potentially have the honor of submitting cards at $50 each.
Oh, for the
It's
Silver's Collectors Club membership you're talking about?
I know people who signed up for the membership and failed to get slots in all
No.
3 raffles or lotteries, whatever you want to call them.
Well, don't worry, I pay for that, but I failed all 3.
I've had a membership straight through since 2014. So I'm someone who, one thing that has changed since the second one happened, middlemen are now open. Some people don't like to do middlemen. So, I mean, if you don't want to do that, you're stuck with the lottery for now. But
Yeah, I think I
pro
just,
tip for anyone doing the lottery, unless they change it, because word is kind of getting out, open as many browsers as you have, incognito mode and regular. You don't need to be logged in until you win, until you like hit. So I had my lowest number was 400 something. My highest number was 3,000. I got in with my 400. I logged in. I had my 5.
So how many did you end up hitting, or you just get the 5?
I got 5 back in December because they did this once back in December and it was like completely broken.
Mm-hmm.
So I got them back then, the second wave of that first day they did it.
Yeah, I
And
missed
then I
that. I
got
know which
them.
one you're talking about. I missed that day. That was the first day you're talking about.
So then, yeah, then this
Yeah.
month, like in the past week and a half, they've had 3 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Session 1, I didn't get it. For session 2, I got it. And then for session 3, I heard about the whole multi-browser thing. I opened 6 browsers. I wasn't guaranteed, but I had a good shot.
Yeah, I didn't
So
even. I should have did that.
it's it's stupid that it's even a thing. I'm probably not even gonna try for the next one. What I wanted to do
What
though,
doesn't make sense is, why does it even count down though? I never understood that either. Like, wouldn't it just be like, congratulations,
you got
you've
yeah,
been
like
selected?
3,000 people, 1,000, however many people it
Yeah.
is, random number generator. You win or you lose, like within 2 minutes, within 5 minutes. It's a 30-minute countdown to 0, and then some people get it, some people get eventful.
Yeah.
It's so horribly broken. It right in line with PSA. I think it doesn't surprise me they're doing it the way they are, but I hate it.
Yeah.
I,
But
I'm I'm gonna make a video on submitting directly to PSA versus using a middleman. So I wanted to get 2 of those 5 card slots so that I can send out 2 submissions direct and 2 submissions to middleman. And I'm gonna like make content out of that. For
uh
future ones, I probably won't try anymore because I'll just use the middlemen.
yeah.
I think within the next couple of months they'll open 50 direct.
Yeah, but to go back to tabletop's game, like, I think you would be safe with the Zard at $50. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna bat an eye to that. But like the Venusaur and even the Blastoids, like, I just feel you take too much meat off the bones at $50 if you do get unlucky and get a 9 or an 8 potentially.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
I wouldn't take that risk, because those are some nice cards, man. And for you, the break even on like a Venusaur or Blastoise would be a freaking travesty.
The
Now
value cap
the
on the
hit,
50, the value cap is $1,000. Like you want to be grading cards that are utilizing that full threshold. If you're grading a Mewtwo or a Zapdos that hits a 9, that
yeah.
card's barely $100, right?
Or that Hitmonlee, like Hitmonlee is just, that's a bulk hollow.
Yeah, you don't want to grade a card that's worth where you're paying 50% or more of the card's value to grade it.
Yeah.
You'd be better off selling it raw.
Unless you want to do what I did and make videos about doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? Oh, so you said, Booyah said, bad situation, feel bad for graded gem, but should have had a plan for it. Do you know what he's talking about? I know what he's talking about. Rattle just made his most recent video.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
saw some of the Facebook posts and then I saw Rattle's video.
yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar with the story, like, recommend going back and watching Rattle's video for like the full in-depth coverage, but I'll give you like the Cliff Note version. So Graded Gem had sent out a submission in February of 2021 and ended up getting lost by FedEx. They didn't let their clients or submitters know until like in the last couple months or two. So what do you think about that? The fact that, one, they lost they didn't lose their cards, but FedEx lost the cards. They're not able to like fully refund people for the price of their cards. They're basing the values of the cards off of like raw recent eBay sales. And obviously the market right now is much less than it was in February of 2021. Raw card prices on eBay, talk about the most subjective number ever. Like, if you had a strong 10 candidate, like, are there a lot of near mint Charizards selling on eBay right now that are 10 candidates? Probably not. So that's not a good comp, you know? Like, because
Well,
if you had a 10 candidate Charizard, you probably send it to grading, right? So even if you have a near mint 8, like, that's now what your cards are getting comped off. So I can see how people could be pissed.
but a near mint 8 Charizard base unlimited, and especially a 10 candidate, should not have gone bulk. If you sent that card under the proper service level, you'd have already had it back. That was my initial take. Some people were claiming like
But why? I mean, that shouldn't matter.
the value limit for bulk is like $100 or $200.
No, I understand, but you can come from the older school of thought, which is what I always came from, is just send everything bulk, let them upcharge you if the cards are for your personal collection. Now, we can't just assume that all these cards are being graded for people to make money. So if they are in fact for people's personal collections, then I would tell people, go ahead, send them at bulk, wait forever to get them back. And if they do get graded and you don't get an upcharge, like good for you. And if
Which
they
is
do get
fine.
upcharged,
But one thing that's in the fine print of PSA, and I don't know whether it was in the fine print of Graded Gem UK, but if the cards get lost, the maximum money you're going to get out in an insurance claim is the declared value. Like Gary on his Instagram, King Pokemon, he's posted a lot of his PSA returns from like 10, 15 years ago.
yeah.
More than half of the PSA 10 base set first edition pop reports were all graded for like $4 a piece on bulk years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a big proponent of send everything bulk, pay almost
I'm the same
nothing.
way too, though.
And I think that's fine. But the day that one of those submissions gets lost, especially international, packages get lost,
Okay.
especially international.
Yeah.
You're taking the risk that you're only going to get $5, $10 a card, whatever you declared them at. I mean,
Okay, but now, Dan, this is where I think everybody's argument is you take that risk when you send cards personally. Now, I would think that a lot of people's thought process is if you go through a middleman, they should be insured out the yin yang, man. So if this event happened, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
the issue is they got lost on the way there. If they got lost on the way back and Graded Gem had all the grades, I think they would be paying full graded value. But like this Champions Path Charizard, if I have a sealed PSA 10 condition one, it's worth $10 because it's sealed raw. Well, it's raw. It's not worth $60 until it's in that PSA 10 case. If I've got a base unlimited Charizard, it's near mint $500. It's not $10,000 until it's a PSA 10. It's a very unfortunate circumstance, and I think it sucks. Absolutely. But you can't expect the middleman to pay. I mean,
No, you don't
like
expect them to pay. You expect, so I think what like Rattle's argument, and I understand the validity to it, is you expect the insurance company to pay. You expect that like any issues that would arise should already be covered.
but not full graded value though. Not
Well,
be, be,
yeah, I mean,
like a big issue, especially in 2020. There were so many people thinking they had base unlimited Charizard peaked at like 20 or 30 grand. It's still worth like 10, isn't it? I mean, somewhere near 10.
wait, what? I don't know. I
Base
don't know. I
base
don't know.
unlimited Charizard. PSA
I
nines.
stay away from prices like that. It's not even worth my
Well,
time to,
PSA nines peaked at 5 or 6 because I sold several there. I want to say
yeah,
the 10 was like 20 grand.
yeah,
I think
that's,
the 9 now is like 1,000 to 1,500. I think the 10 is still around 10 grand. So the issue is if you pack pull a base set Charizard, if you look at the pop report, most of them are getting PSA nines and eights. Tens are hard to get, even pack fresh. But when someone sends it, people think every card they send is tens frequently.
yeah,
So
but
like
that's the argument. Yeah, but everyone always
if
says
I
that.
send 5 base set unlimited pack fresh Charizards, in my mind, in a lot of people's minds, that's a $50,000 submission.
Hmm.
No insurance company is going to pay on what it never was going to become. Like,
Yeah.
very likely it was going to be 5 PSA 9 unlimited Charizards that's worth 5 grand. But since they weren't graded, all you can pay on is raw near mint, which is probably like $600 a piece.
Yeah, but then they still should have had max declared value for their FedEx shipment, which is like 75 grand. So then you should have that 75,000 coming from FedEx on top of whatever the insurance policy is. I feel like it should be enough to get close to some of that, but it's hard to say. Who knows?
It's extremely hard. Like I don't know all the minutia of it. I don't
Yeah,
know all the very
yeah.
minor, but it's a horrible situation. It really sucks, but like
Oh, especially, can you imagine if these were like people's childhood cards or something and they sent them away
that's the
and
worst. Like, but
or the
to some
FedEx
extent,
or
like
how good it is for the FedEx employee that put that box in the
the
back of his car and now he's now a new Pokemon
but
powerhouse.
if people were grading like base first Charizards, if people were grading like trophy cards, crazy stuff, then it really sucks. But it also, to some extent, that shouldn't have remotely been going bulk. Like I saw some people saying like, "Oh, I lost a $10,000 card." That was kind of a risk you were taking. It sucks that it got lost, but you win some, you lose some.
That $10,000, I could see how that would be hard. But
Yeah, and yeah, like I mean, base unlimited Charizard is a really good example because in PSA 10 it is 10 grand, but raw near mint it's $500.
Pikachu kind of just has a little troll question, but I like it. He says, if you're taking one person's advice on the market and have to act on it, would you pick Collectibles Guru, Island Boys, or Logan Paul? That's an easy one. I'd pick Logan Paul because he would be able to help me manipulate whatever he's about to release next as a video. Because I'll tell you right now, if he did in fact buy Scott's trophy cards, which it sounds like he did, but then it sounds like he didn't, that stories are now starting to change after you heard Scott's reaction. I don't know if you've heard Scott's reaction lately, but it's changed a little bit. I don't think it was as big of a purchase as some people originally thought.
Well, he was
Or
claiming it was more than the 3.5 that the case was, right?
I don't know like all the details on how much he claimed, but if that is the case, like trophy card market's gonna pop probably because if he's able to get the price of a GI Joe booster box to $500, God forbid what he can do the trophy cards.
All the memes and stuff aside, I think Collectibles Guru like actually made money in the hobby. I think he did fairly well. Maybe he didn't.
Dude, he
Maybe he
was the
bought.
first one that ever sell first edition like non-Charizard for $8,000. You know how impressive that was? Now, he sold those cards to Logan Paul, but the fact that he did that, when he did it, and how he did it, he
Yeah, I
looked
mean,
like Mr. Clean. That's all I gotta say.
yeah,
I'm not gonna like give
there's a
him
lot of
credit
memes surrounding it
on
and
my
stuff, but
channel, but
it would be interesting to see like his balance sheet on like hit all his deals and how he did on it. I think he did fairly well in it. Which Logan Paul too. I mean, he bought that Charizard off Gary, right? 150 grand or whatever, and then he turned it into a BGS 10. That was a pretty shrewd buy too.
yeah. Let's see. Uh, Poke Collectibles said, Poke Knowledge, worth waiting to send EX Sandstorm Hollows and EXs to PSA if they're likely sevens or eights, or do I send to Aussie graders at $11, $7 US? Just very little money with ship. Do not send it to some mom and pop Australian grader
Yeah.
company. Please don't do that.
And don't
Because
pay $50 for PSA sevens or eights
no,
either, in my
just
opinion.
wait, please do not. I don't even know who that Australian grading company is, but please don't do that. And please don't spend a lot to grade up PSA. Wait,
Yeah.
sevens and eights are just that those are cards that you could see like prices increase in the future, maybe like when the market eventually works its way to it, but you're gonna get there's no benefit in that. Do you see any benefit?
No, and PSA has been in business for 30 years now. They've graded 40 million cards in 30 years, approximately. They're now grading at a rate of 10 million cards per year. And Nat, their CEO, CFO, whatever he is, he's stating that they intend to scale that to 20 million cards per year. Over the next 3 or 4 years, it's very likely the amount of graded PSA slabs in the world will double. Like the cost of grading will come down. Be patient.
Yeah. Ancient Muse said he hates FedEx. I've left my packages at the bottom of my driveway before. I've had a FedEx lose a package once, but like through my job, we have like a person I could contact could directly contact FedEx and like they were like, how much was your package worth? And I was like, $50,000. I just threw out like crazy amounts of money, and they found it in the warehouse. And they were like, well, we can't find it. And I was like, well, I need to go to your warehouse and look for I was like talking to the lady on the phone. I'm not a nice person on the phone. Like, well, I need to come to your warehouse. Like, can I have somebody walk me through there? And they're like, they like had no clue what they were saying. I was like, I need my package back. And they eventually found it. So Pikachu said he answered my question on the live and confirmed it was more than 3.5 million. So I guess it is, maybe it is all his trophy cards.
He, at the time that he was talking about it a little bit in both public and the Patreon videos, he did a video with the 397 Pikachus, the 3 half art Pikachus, and the 3 full art Pikachus. He had those all in one video.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like I feel like that was like the last hurrah pre-sale. That's my theory, but
why else would he have those cards on him? I understand that.
Yeah, because those cards don't live in the grandma basement. I don't believe.
No, they
those live in a vault somewhere and
yeah.
don't see the light of day. I would hope and assume.
Yeah, they live in the Indiana Jones's like giant warehouse where getting studied by top professionals type places.
Yeah.
Pikachu said, so he said Scott responded to his super chat and confirmed he's under non-disclosure agreement and it's well over 3.5 million. Logan buy. David Kim claims he didn't buy Logan's trophies. He knows the buyers and what was sold.
I've heard some other speculations, and it's
all speculation, but that's a beautiful thing about channels like this, Dan. Super low,
yeah.
Not a lot of people watching. That's all we get to do is speculate. We get to be wrong. This video will get lost in time.
I think we'll find out this year at some point, but it could be. Scott kind of alluded to the fact that a video would come out, but the timing was unknown. Maybe the whole base first case, maybe that will expedite it. Maybe that will back burner it. I don't know what effect that would have on it.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about some great free content he got. You know, he got all his money back for his $3.5 million case and how much money he made off that video.
Peak Dad Shoe, I think you're talking about Brown Eyes Yellow Dragon, right?
Let's see. Basic Trainer said, Pokeknowledge and Dan, when is it all said and done where we will see bulk prices end up? $25, 2010. So where do you think is like end all be all? Where will prices be?
Within the next few months, we're getting 50 open to the public. I mean, 50 is partially open now through lottery, and it's open through middlemen. So my middleman supposedly said unlimited quantity I can send to him at 50. I think he said that knowing I don't have like 50,000 cards to send at 50 a piece, but I think in the next few months we get 50 open to the public. I think by the end of the year, we're going to be doing lotteries on either 25 or 30. And I think in 2023, we see 20. Maybe by the mid or end 2023, I think we see 10 again. Maybe not always send as much as you want whenever, but like remember back in the before time, in the good old days, there were quarterly specials.
Yeah,
I think those will come back. And
I think you're right with that.
I think that the base price might be somewhere in the 12 to 20 range. And then there will be like sporadic lotteries and or quarterly specials for like the $10 to $15 range. I could see that by 2023.
I could go with that. I think where if they want to get prices real low, the one way they could do it is if they actually do hire all these people, if they have the infrastructure there, if they could really turn and burn a lot of cards, and the more cards they could turn and the more, like, you got to think about what the services that PSA provides. They don't do anything, you know.
It's easy. Like it's easy to scale. The equipment is sonic sealers you can buy from.
Yeah.
Like the reason so many mom and pop basement
But they
grading companies are
they
popping
print
up.
their own money at this point, pretty
It,
much.
it's a like it's a very not much expertise is required, and the equipment is so cheap and easy to obtain. The raw materials are cheap and easy to produce. A little bit of like logistically an issue because of the pandemic and like everything else, but
Yeah. And I'm sure the warehouse that makes those slabs just got slammed. They were probably running full time.
yeah, I mean, and Kevin C said like just a machine at front of Walmart, you put your Pokemon card in and it comes out slabbed. They can put it next to the Coinstar and the key machine. The
Kevin
way
Clear,
that
I think he's on to something there.
the way that Nat Turner is building this empire, buying PSA, they bought Golden, right?
Yeah.
Next, they're going to be buying like a printing facility. They're going to be buying the rights to print like sporting cards and whatever. And you're not even going to buy a booster pack anymore. You're going to buy like, you're going to like, instead of a Evolutions booster pack or a Evolving Skies booster pack, you're just going to buy directly from Pokemon, like the graded card you want.
Do you just have everything like within arm's reach of you at all times? Like
If
I
I
have
pan,
nothing.
if I pan the camera in any direction, you
It's
would
just
see an absolute like mess.
yeah.
It's
So,
really bad right now because that collection just came in today. Like I've got all the raw cards here from it.
oh yeah. Were there any bulky cards or just all hollows?
It's bulky. Like this is the hollow stack, and then this is the non-hollow stack, which is smaller. But then I've got a few binders that are full too. Like I've already taken out the good stuff.
Can I
But
just open up one random page of the binder? I
there
just
was a
want to
deck
see.
too. The binders aren't exciting. It
Is that
was.
jungle theme deck sealed with the Kangaskhan?
I took out all the hollows, so it's like, yeah, this is Gym Challenge.
Yeah.
The complete first edition set.
Nice.
Yeah, Gym Heroes was partial, but yeah, the binders are just like non-hollow jungle fossil WotC first edition sets.
Yeah. Those are still good cards I would tell everyone to complete your binder sets before too late.
Yeah, binders are I mean, as far as actual enjoyment goes, I get a lot more enjoyment out of flipping through a binder versus like looking at my graded cards because one, graded cards are so bulky. Like I can contain a complete set in a binder and have just an easy viewing experience.
Yeah.
I've got to have one of those graded shoe boxes if I want to look at a complete graded set of whatever.
Yeah, I think so Jake from Pokenomics on one of his last streams, he had that sports guy on and somebody had asked a question like, where do you store your graded cards? And Jake was like, oh, I have some of these like premium collection. Do you know how I store my graded cards? In the graded box it came in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I open it, I look at the card, and then I just leave it in there.
Jake has like 20,000 slabs he's mentioned, which
yeah,
is
that's a
just
lot.
it's insane because like I'm a business. He's doing this as like a hobby, right? He does sell a little,
Yeah.
but I'm like a business and I have I probably have 5,000 right now.
Yeah,
And that's a lot. Like 5,000 is a lot of slabs.
I would say I have I don't know. I have like a entire bookshelf of boxes. 2,500 maybe, but it's an entire bookshelf. It's a lot. It takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, it's a lot
And I
for
have like
sure.
a smaller, like, yeah, that's a lot.
You don't do MetaZoo, do you?
I trash on MetaZoo. Do you want to trash on some MetaZoo?
Well, Steve's Collectibles said, let's see the zoo, Dan.
All right. Let me ask you a question. So you're a smart guy. You've been very successful at Pokemon. Why? Why would you why would you do that to yourself? Do you not understand like the risk? Do you let me? All right. And here's another question. You're not a market manipulator. You made that very clear. How many first edition booster boxes do you have?
WotC first edition booster boxes.
Oh no, MetaZoo
Oh,
Kickstarter first.
MetaZoo. I did a video where I divulged my entire inventory of MetaZoo. I have two Kickstarter,
You know,
two
with
two
your two
Cryptid Nation.
Kickstarter booster boxes, I could get the prices of those up just by I would just buy it and sell them to myself. That's why I don't like MetaZoo. Because if I could do that with my 3 eBay accounts, get those two Kickstarter booster boxes, buy them back and forth to me and just not pay myself. And what's like the price floor, right? Or the struggle? It's like 9 grand right now for those they're struggling to get past.
Right around there, yeah.
Yeah. I would within like what is today? January 27th, by February 27th, there would be 15 sales of those two booster boxes for 9,000. It's too easy to manipulate that market. And that's exactly what's happening, Dan. Like tell me you're going to tell me that market's not one of the most manipulated trading. If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's a duck.
I think a lot of Pokemon in 2020, well, it was a perfect storm of things. There was a lot of manipulation going on. There was a lot of people just saying, buy everything. It's an investment. You're going to make money. And then there was a shortage due to PSA closure and all that. But
I don't want to interrupt you, but this is going to be really hard for me. So this is the thing about like the Pokemon hype, which is the biggest obvious to anybody that's here for a long time. When you have a high sale, like I'll give you an example, the first edition Lugia from Neo, right? What was that high price it hit? Like 120, 130?
yeah, something
That's all anyone was talking about. Everyone that was in the know, everyone that knew what that card was said that price is total BS, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now for MetaZoo, for all these first edition, people are stupid when I don't want to keep saying people are stupid, but the MetaZoo Discord is the biggest bunch of yes men in one group ever. So if I wanted to, I could jack the prices up for those first edition holos, for Kickstarter holos. And I bet you within the week, everybody would be quoting my fake prices I created on eBay. They would. They'd be like, did you see Bigfoot sold for $6,000? Oh my God. And then look, a week later, another one sold, and it would be the same one. And people would start quoting my fake prices. That's the
honestly,
MetaZoo community.
At this point, I haven't been like actively tracking. I've been picking up things that I've wanted for my own collection. I've made very few sales. A couple of the sales I've made, I've bought 4 Kickstarter boxes, and I flipped 2 of them to kind of like get some of my cost basis out. I think I bought my first couple at around 2,000, and I sold one at 5 or 6 because the price went up quick. It was a decent profit to take. It felt, I mean, it is very speculative. It is very, I mean, there's definitely some degree of manipulation in there for sure. And it's a lot smaller.
It's manipulated by the creators. It's manipulated.
Well,
it's from the start to the finish, and then all the Timmies in between are the, hey, did you see the $100,000 or $130,000 Lugia sale? Those are the hype men that don't even know they're hype men.
But like the creators market it, right? They don't manipulate it. I think the creator got too much negativity, like,
excuse me.
Oh, he's pumping the prices. He gave a bunch of free product to social media people, to content creators. That's what marketing is in 2021. One thing that I always push back on people, if Pokemon or if Magic were to come out at the time that MetaZoo did, they would be called money grabs. They would be called manipulated. They would be called.
No, Dan, don't even. How can you say that? The release of a Pokemon would be totally different, like how it was released. Pokemon was put in the hands of kids to be a game. it wouldn't be released the same way as MetaZoo. So this is the difference between Pokemon and MetaZoo. Pokemon is a trading card game that we as adults have made this trading card into a collectible asset. MetaZoo started backwards. They took a collectible asset and then now pretend like it's a TCG. It was the opposite for Pokemon.
But I don't think something could, like the Kickstarter didn't even sell out. And then social media hype ran away with it. I don't think something could come out. Like say Pokemon had 4 years of history of sales in Japan before they came to the stateside. But I don't think something can come out like, what would the word be? Nothing can come out like organically in this day and age, because people are just like crazy for crypto, NFT, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, like stonks, make money on everything. How would or could a new card game release and not go nuts like that, right? Like that's kind of my point.
Yeah, but there's how many Kickstarter TCGs are going to come out of this? They're
Oh,
not going to all.
There's a lot right now, like way overfunded, and a lot of them are going to die. And MetaZoo might die too. Like it is highly speculative, especially at the high prices it's at now.
The thing about MetaZoo is that people are not buying. So out of all the raw cards you have, how many of those have you opened?
I haven't opened any Kickstarter.
Exactly. That's the answer. You don't open the product because it's a sealed collectible asset. You might have singles, but you're not the one opening it because you're looking at it as only an investment.
But let me go here though. So Pokemon, I've never opened a base set first edition box, but I own a bunch of it. I don't own a lot of Kickstarter singles for MetaZoo. I opened 2 boxes of Cryptid Nation first edition, and I opened 2 boxes of Nightfall first edition. So I'm not doing anything substantially different from what I'm doing in Pokemon.
Yeah, but
the one main difference is that I acquired the base set first edition equivalent in the Kickstarter. I owned 4 at one point, or maybe 3 or 4 at one time. I really wanted to crack one. Someday I still might.
But you've also opened, you might not have opened a first edition booster box, but you said it on this stream already. You had a heavy first edition pack. You pulled the
I opened one in
Ninetales.
Vegas too.
You opened a first edition pack at Pokemon Saves the World. So don't say like, oh, well, see, when you use that kind of word and when you're like, well, I've never opened up a first edition booster box, it's like, yeah, but you open packs.
I'm going to open packs of Kickstarter 100%. I recently won on a Whatnot stream. Where'd it go? Pokemon Radar, actually. A friend. I had this pulled on my behalf by Pokemon Radar on Whatnot, a reverse holo Chaos Crystal from Kickstarter. So I have intent to open product. It's just like when I know that there's 2,500 boxes made, it is really hard to make that number go down by 1. That's one thing that I honestly like about MetaZoo. I like that the print runs are known.
Artificial scarcity though.
It's not artificial. It didn't sell out. 2,500 boxes of Kickstarter didn't sell out in the original launch. That's not artificial. 25,000, they 10x'd it for the first edition release.
Yep.
That's not artificial. That's 10x.
All their chase cards they're making from now on, all these 1 of 100s, 1 of whatever.
That's what this is. 1 of 100 sample. Yeah.
They're creating artificial scarcity. And you know how you can tell that they're manipulating behind the scenes? Because the one thing that I always hear the most about MetaZoo, above anything else, I don't ever, and this is the truth, I never hear about the playability of the game. And besides the money, the only thing I ever hear about is people talk about the owner, the creator, and they talk about how he's a good businessman. Like that's all they ever talk about. And if you guys are so worried about the guy running behind the scenes, they're talking about him as being a good businessman because people think that he will make them money in the future. That's what they really mean by that. They don't mean that they think he's a good businessman, like he's going to help grow this. What they think is going to happen is that he's going to do everything in his ability to make this product like an investable thing. But this is the thing that I think about MetaZoo is that it's only going to be investable for a small window of time, because if everybody who's flooding into this only looks at it as being investable, the problem is the large majority of people don't have like the wherewithal or like the backbone or the strength or everything that's needed to hold on when this thing starts crashing. What I think is going to happen is when it starts to crash, it's going to crash so much harder than everything else, because while Pokemon might be taking a downturn and you hear all the new collector investor flippers out there saying Pokemon is a huge crash, and then me and you could be like, Pokemon's still doing fantastic. But when that happens with MetaZoo, people will know nothing else and they'll just jump ship. And then there's going to be and when I hate to use the term bag holders, because I feel like bag holders is like a Wall Street bets like stock market term. But when you talk about bag holders, they're going to be bag holders of MetaZoo. And that's just.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. At current pricing, highly speculative, highly risky. I'm not advising anyone buy it, especially if you don't enjoy it. But I've genuinely enjoyed opening the product that I've opened. It's very expensive. The Kickstarter and the first edition stuff, but on the playability side, I started in Pokemon 23 years ago. I left it for a long time, but I've been back into it for 8. I've never played a proper game of Pokemon. I've heard things about the whole MetaZoo fourth wall. You gotta like dance around the room and yell stupid stuff, but I've never played it. I'm never going to. I don't really care if it's playable or not. It's probably better for the longevity of the game if it is. And there's been tournaments. There's people in Discord that talk about playing it. It's not for me. Some people do it. Maybe it's too few. Maybe it'll all die in a few years. Maybe I'll be a bag holder, but I'm interacting with it because I enjoy interacting with it.
Dan, do you think that MetaZoo has artificially created barriers that it only benefits people that were there at the beginning, that it puts up artificial barriers for people who will enter the hobby later? Because in order for something like MetaZoo to grow, you need it to have new people coming in, right? Are you rewarding people too early on for being early investors, collectors, like people that are able to get exclusive products or exclusive 1 of 100s or something? So then the people that will enter later, let's say somebody wants to come in from a year from now and the prices are all super high. You don't think that they're going to come in, look around at what all the prices are and say, the price points for entry for all this stuff is way too high? Where Pokemon, I think one of the best things Pokemon has going for it is the price of entry for Pokemon is still very low. When you talk about like the relative, sure, there's like the high end Charizard first edition, but I feel like what MetaZoo is doing is constantly brick by brick building up walls, segregating older investors to new people entering the hobby. And people entering the hobby, I think they're just going to be pushed away by that. But it's a money grab in the short term. And I know you've bought like the NFTs and stuff, and there is like a physical asset that goes along with it. But are you buying that just because it's a 1 of 100, like artificial scarcity?
So there was a lot there.
Sorry, I'm very passionate against MetaZoo.
And that's fine. I think it's good for people with differing opinions to have debates and discussions, right? So on the walls and barriers being built up and the inaccessibility, like if you want to pull a Cryptid Nation Mothman, you can buy the $9,000 Kickstarter box, 1 of 2,500. You can buy the roughly $800, I think, first edition Cryptid Nation booster box. Or you can buy the second edition booster box on eBay right now for like $90. If you want to buy, if you want to pull like a base Charizard, you can buy the $400,000 booster box, or you can buy the $15,000 unlimited box, or you can buy evolutions and open a reprint of it, or you can buy. So
But
they're
why
doing.
is that Charizard in Pokemon way more special than the Mothman in MetaZoo? The
Oh,
Charizard
it's got
has,
23 years of history.
yeah, it's the chase card from when people were growing up. It's the one of the more popular Pokemon. Mothman is the Charizard of MetaZoo. You know why? Because somebody told you it was.
And that's the like I don't buy. I've spoken out against the whole Mothman as the mascot thing. He's not mine. My chase is Bigfoot. One thing I like Pokemon had an IP. Pokemon was this universe that was created, right? All these creatures that you could catch and you could level up and you could evolve. MetaZoo is interesting in that it's taken from the public domain, all these figures, all these creatures that like everyone in the world knows some amount of cryptids. Almost everyone knows Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster. Apparently Mothman is a popular one too, but I had never known who Mothman was until MetaZoo. But like I've got one right here. Like Bigfoot is a fairly iconic,
Sure.
well-known cryptid. So you've got some amount of, again, you're not tied to an IP that has 23 years of history, but you're tied to the public domain that has years or decades or centuries or millennia of history, right?
Do you
And
think
and,
if do you
and
think
again,
if Pokemon did this and the Pokemon was released in 99 and then things reached these prices that it would be sustainable?
don't forget the Home Shopping Network. Don't forget like the bubble that happened in 99 2000
What,
that
like the
popped.
$1,200 Neo Genesis binders that they were
Oh yeah,
creating?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
Pokemon very much was like, think of the children, kids couldn't get it. Adults did. It was 99 2000. YouTube wasn't a thing. You can't go back and watch videos about it all. MetaZoo's happening in this time and space where it is all being documented. I stand firm by my statement that if Pokemon or Magic were to come out today, and again, Pokemon was different because it had the 4 year prior release in Japan. If it
It
came
had,
out as a US based
yeah, but it had the
IP,
Game Boy game, it had the cartoon.
and that's, I guess, MetaZoo's working the other direction, right? It's starting with the card game. They're making plushes, they're making all these different things, apparel. They're talking about TV shows, they're talking about games, they're talking about all that stuff. They've got the comic going on. So they're doing it in a different order, but I very much stand firm by, if Magic were to come out today, it would be called a money grab. This isn't going to last. This is a bubble. This is, and maybe, again, maybe MetaZoo is, maybe I'm a bag holder, maybe in 2 years. And I hope I'm still making content. Pokemon's still my main thing. I
Yeah,
might
maybe.
say like that MetaZoo stuff was nuts. I can't believe I lost 50 grand on it. It was fun while it lasted, but like I've got
Yeah,
my cards and they're worth
maybe I'll be
nothing.
wrong. Like
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna sit here and say I wasn't in this. So you gotta so this is the thing too that I always try to tell people is this community, the people watching right now, me and you talking, like we know what MetaZoo is. Good luck. Like finding somebody, like go to your local grocery store and like be that guy out front with a clipboard doing a poll. Like go ask how many people know MetaZoo. So we are a little blinded, like because we're very in the know.
mhm.
Now, I don't know what I don't I don't want to keep like bashing MetaZoo. Like I understand like why you're doing it. And but what the point I'm trying to get is like being in the know is when Rudy started pumping MetaZoo at the very beginning and Kickstarter booster boxes for first edition Kickstarter booster boxes for $500. Like I very well remember that. I remember when Z and G sold his packs. Do you remember that?
And I wasn't into it then. I didn't get
Yeah.
my stuff that early.
So like I was aware and I had my opportunity. So and it was funny because I saw all this stuff happening and I'm like, this is a bubble, but I bet you that this is going to keep going up for the near term. And I could have made one or two decisions, like one, jump in on this and ride this baby like a bubble, and then just hope I get off before it pops. But my whole like collect and invest in whatever you want to call it strategy is I only want to get into something like that I believe in. And I just feel that maybe you are starting to become a believer, but I still
I
feel
believe
the
in
large
MetaZoo.
majority isn't.
I'm not like, I have nothing listed for sale right now. I have stuff that's appreciated quite significantly since I bought it, and I'm not selling any of it. I the prices are high. I paid high prices and they went higher, but I enjoy it and I believe in it. And I don't think it's going to be the next Pokemon. I don't think it's going to knock off Pokemon, but I'm only interacting with it because I enjoy it. Like, I've never gotten into Magic. I never played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger. I never got into Weiss, Card Fight, none of these other things. MetaZoo came along. It's just genuinely been enjoyable. It's been a wild, crazy ride, but I can't say 2020 Pokemon wasn't either. 2020 Pokemon was a bubble that popped. 1999 Pokemon was a bubble that popped. MetaZoo, MetaZoo in the spring was like a bubble. I think Kickstarter boxes in the spring peaked at like 5 or 6,000, and then they popped and went down to like 2,000, and I picked up a couple. Then they ran. I mean, they've gone relatively steadily up to like 9 now. I mean, a lot of noise, but it's it's a very crazy market. And I've bought crypto years ago, and I've done well in crypto. I've long been a proponent of like buy and hold index funds. The majority of my actual investable net worth is all in stocks. I invest heavily in 401ks and IRAs and things of that nature. And so I'm not like pumping and dumping MetaZoo. I'm not, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's my take. Same with Pokemon.
I don't buy it, Dan.
I sold that card at 200, and I sold it at 150, and I sold it at 100, and I'm selling it at 60. And if next week it goes to 40, I'm selling it at 40. Was that card in a bubble? Was it? I mean,
but look at what you're doing when you talk about that card. You're pointing at that card, and you're literally describing how you navigated the market. You navigated that card. You think you can navigate the MetaZoo market the same way you navigated that Charizard V from Champion's Path? Like, do you think it's going to be the same sort of navigation that you're going to be able to know when something is overvalued, undervalued, the ebb and flows, like understand market condition, market indicators, history of cards, histories of sets, like people's thought processes, and all the little things that go in for Pokemon that you could almost instantly absorb? Like, I could probably show you I could pull any random Pokemon card from any random set, and I could show it to you, and you instantly could identify the fundamentals behind that card. Can you really do that with MetaZoo, though?
I'm doing it right now.
But you're not selling anything. You're just holding.
I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell when the time. I've sold a couple things. I've sold 2 Kickstarter booster boxes. I intend. I'm a Pokemon channel and I'm a Pokemon business, and that's not changing. I'm just picking up a little MetaZoo on the side because I'm enjoying it. 5-10 years from now, I've got other plans in mind for my life. I'm not going to completely leave Pokemon, but like there's other business ventures, there's other things I'm going to get into. Right now, MetaZoo is just picking up the spare 5 to 10% of my attention and cash flow, I guess. But yeah, I that's the fun of it. That's the fun of Pokemon, finding the value, buying the value, selling what I think is headed down, buying what I think is headed up. And I'm playing the same value seeking game in MetaZoo that I'm playing in Pokemon. I've been successful in Pokemon. I've made some mistakes though too. I've bought some things. I sold some things early. I sold most of my evolutions, tens of cases, not like hundreds of cases, but I sold 20 cases of evolutions at 300 or 400 a box. I could have doubled or tripled my money from there. I bought some lots I shouldn't have bought. I've lost some money here and there on different buys, but I'm sure I will with MetaZoo too. Maybe I'll lose it all. maybe, I mean, maybe I'm holding, well, my inventory, my total inventory, like I sold a lot in 2020, but I also didn't sell a lot. I lost six figures in Pokemon by not selling everything in
Well,
2020. It
I
was a
think we
bubble. The bubble popped. And it was a bubble
so
in 99 and it popped. But it,
this is the
it,
thing about, so we all kind of lost money in 2020 if you look at it that way by not selling at the peak. But the problem I feel is will happen is with MetaZoo is that there's gonna be just too many people that have a little bit too much of like that irrational exuberance for MetaZoo. And I guess I'm just more afraid for them in the future.
oh yeah, I have no debt. It's a very risky buy. I've bought into this with a very small portion of my business's cash flow and available funds. Like, I'm not telling anyone to go buy MetaZoo. I'm not actively selling any of it. Um, some people are like, there are definitely pumpers and dumpers in MetaZoo. There are definitely people shilling things. There's definitely people manipulating things. The same thing can be said about Pokemon, the same thing, crypto, NFTs, stocks. There are bad actors in every market.
Of course, but the thing about Pokemon is at least you could identify when it's happening. I would say,
A lot of
this,
people can't.
but I was just going to say the majority of people can't because I see it happen all the time. They don't see it happening. Like there's a, I don't know. I think it's too new of a market. Maybe it would just be a good learning for everybody. And maybe I'll be totally wrong. Maybe in 5 years from now, you'll be like, hey, you remember when we were talking about Pokemon first edition booster boxes being worth 200 plus thousand? Well, guess what? Like, how stupid do you feel? And I'll be like, well, whatever.
And I think we've been respectful, right? I think it's healthy. Like some people like fight over this stuff. Some people disagree and, oh, I hate you. You don't like the shiny cards that I like. You're bad. Or it's silly, I think. I mean,
Yeah, I should make a new rule on this channel that if there's a no MetaZoo allowed to be talked about on this channel. I
and
don't
I
want you to
knew
like think I'm going after you or anything.
no,
Or
I feel like this is I've had conversations like this off camera with certain people. When I first, because I'm a Pokemon channel, when I first uploaded the MetaZoo video, the amount of hate and vitriol, some people, like some genuinely, mostly strangers that I didn't even know, they're like, hey, unsubscribe. I can't believe you're on this hype train.
like, where did you come from, random guy I've never seen before?
They're like, I can't believe you're a pump and dumper. I thought you were, and it wasn't a ton of people, but there was a handful of it, and it blew my mind. It's like, I'm not. It was a box opening of me opening Cryptid Nation First Edition, talking about the arts. Like I'm a collector. I'm a collector at heart, and I like Bigfoot's my chase, and I was opening the packs, and I was talking about some of the thoughts on it. I like the packs aren't weighable. I like that every box is wrapped with the logos and the tamper-proof seal, so that if in 10 or 20 years, it's going to be easier to authenticate things if it's a thing. If it's not a thing, who really cares? And they wasted a bunch of money on all this like tamper-proof security stuff. But
Yeah,
I think
so
they
I don't
learned
know
from.
anything about like the tamper proofing or anything, but without knowing anything, if that is the case and they are in fact truly not weighable, which I don't know, or the booster boxes are not tamperable, like yeah, I think that's something Pokemon should already be doing.
Yeah, they've learned some, like they've seen 20 years of Pokemon. They've seen almost 30 years of Magic, and they've taken what they liked from it and they've gone with some of it. They've fixed some of the things they didn't like. Like there's a lot of interesting things to me with MetaZoo, and that's why I'm getting involved in it. Um, I never got into anything else as a child, so like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't do it for me. Magic, I've picked up a couple oddball singles that I remember like my cousins had when I was younger, but I never played it. I never played Pokemon even. But yeah, if the day comes that like warning bells go off in my head, this is crazy, I'm gonna lose all my money, I'll tell my channel I'm selling all my MetaZoo because I'm scared of where it's headed. I'm no longer enjoying it. And I'm gonna say like the same thing I was doing in 2020 when I was actively selling on eBay, $500 to $1,000 EVs and Pikachu's. I said, please don't buy them from me.
And that was good advice.
Literally, like
But that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
it's a weird scenario. Like if and when if I wake up tomorrow, Poke Knowledge like hit me with the knowledge. MetaZoo is actually a bubble. I'm gonna make a video on my channel and I'm gonna shout you out and I'm gonna say thank you for enlightening me. I'm gonna sell like please don't buy these Kickstarter boxes from me for 9,000, but someone will. Like that's the thing about my channel. Like I never want to be accused as like a pump and dumper. I try to be transparent on everything. I link my eBay. I show you what I'm selling. Some of it's a good buy, some of it's a bad buy.
Yeah.
I buy low and I sell higher. In rising, falling, stagnant markets, there's always money to be made due to the illiquid nature of these collectible items. And like I said, years ago it was video games. Years ago it was coins. Today it's Pokemon and MetaZoo. 5-10 years from now, who knows what it'll be. Hopefully still Pokemon largely, but
I think somebody on here had a good, who was it? Skater Nesto. I think he had the best thing of the night. Agree to disagree.
yeah. I think that's
But then Kevin Clear also said let's pack Kickstarter boxes with G.I. Joe for the future. And I also agree with that. So
I think it's a good, healthy thing to be able to have two people respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
And I talk through my points, you talk through yours. Neither of us convinced the other. We don't really have to
listen.
Like,
Dan,
at the end of this, one of us doesn't have to be swayed.
What's the guy's name who what's his name? Mike Waddell.
Mike Waddell, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody needs to just tell him, he could send me a bunch of free product. I'll rip through it. Yeah. I'll tell you if it's good or not.
You know why? Well, it's funny. I bought a big lot I bought 4 sealed, the artificially scarce sample packs, right? I bought those from Rusty.
Yeah.
Rusty was sent those free because a year ago he was a big content creator. I bought 4 packs from him for $16,000.
Yeah. Do you yeah, I mean, you know who Cool Trainer Ryan is, obviously, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I forget who's I want to say it was with Jake. He was talking about PokeRev got a huge amount of Kickstarter product from that guy Mike. And with the intention of opening it on his channel, he said he didn't open a single pack on his channel. He said he's probably sitting on just very similar to TCA, just tens of thousands of dollars worth of this product.
Yeah, Rusty had 9 of the sample packs that hold 5 cards each. And I bought the ones with the better cards in it.
Okay.
But I paid $4,000 a piece. Those are worth like $3,000 a piece plus. I don't know what he got as far as like Kickstarter boxes or anything. But Rusty mentioned that he got them as a freebie when they were worth nothing almost. He threw them in a drawer and forgot about them. It's crazy to think, even though it's come out in all this hype period, even though most people are pack pulling, grading immediately, there's some amount of attrition. Nick, old school Pokemon, he went to a Collecticon last year. They handed him a Kickstarter pack. He doesn't even remember what he pulled or what he did with the cards. He said they probably ended up in the garbage.
Well, I mean, if you went, this is a little segue, but when you heard the stories of the very first alpha Wizard of the Coast Magic the Gathering cards, they said the very first test play they ever had with all those alpha cards, after they were done test playing it, they just threw all those cards in the trash.
Yeah, people sat down at the table, flipped through them, maybe played a hand or whatever, and then just ended up in the garbage. Crazy to think of it. And MetaZoo, that we don't have to keep going on MetaZoo if you don't want to, but
nobody's throwing Kickstarter MetaZoo in the trash either, though. If there's 2,500 booster boxes worth of Kickstarter MetaZoo, 20 years from now, there'll still be 2,500. There won't be
maybe 2,450. Nick threw away his pack, supposedly, he said. he opened a pack and he lost them or threw them away or whatever. But yeah, I agree. The attrition is nowhere near like Alpha Magic.
Yeah.
One interesting similarity between Magic and MetaZoo, and I'm not saying that MetaZoo is going to head to where Magic is because of it, but like Pokemon is drastically different in that the vintage and the modern are like way up here, and it was a lull in the middle. So like out of the gate, Pokemon started with massive print runs for
Sure.
base, jungle, fossil,
8
rocket.
different, speculative 8 different print runs.
Yep. And Magic was the complete opposite, right? It had a known print run for alpha, and then it went up to beta, unlimited.
Well,
And
it
then
didn't.
like
Alpha didn't have a known print run. It wasn't until years later did they really find out the true print runs.
not
Isn't
known
that?
out of the gate, but it came out later, right? Like
Yeah.
4 million, however many cards it was. But as of today, alpha, beta, unlimited, the 4 horseman sets, revised, a lot of those print runs are known. That's one thing I like about MetaZoo. I like that the earliest sets are the smallest, and I like that they're kind of ramping into the growth of the interest, right? And then they're going into Walmart soon, they're going into Target soon. And if
Do
it's
you
a
think
flop,
that
like
I don't want to keep talking about it,
no,
but
we can stop.
that's
Yeah, it's your channel and it's Poke
no,
Knowledge. It's
it's
not MetaZoo knowledge.
yeah, it's just going. It's almost as if getting too big. I think like in the MetaZoo Discord group, they think it's a bigger IP than it is. So to go into Walmart, everybody just thinks like everybody's gonna want to like stonk out super hard on this MetaZoo product once it hits the Walmart shelves. But from everything I've heard about MetaZoo, even like to get people to join the Discord, from what I've heard through people, is that they offered like the availability of potentially getting NFTs, but the only way you could potentially be like eligible for that is to be in their Discord group. So then overnight their Discord group grew like by a massive amount of people just trying to get that NFT. Like that's all artificial like stuff in my opinion. But
and if I mean they're going into Walmart soon and then Target shortly thereafter, if they flop in the big box stores, Walmart's not going to carry a dying, like if they don't sell there, which a lot of people say they won't. People say like it's pump and dump and no one's going to care when it doesn't make money. Second edition, third
but
edition.
that's the thing too, is everyone talks about the guy Mike. He's not stupid. They're gonna sell out of Walmart at first because there's too many Walmarts for him to supply with enough product,
So if it, yeah, I mean,
like if let's just say there's 15 hangers at Walmart or whatever. I don't know what they're doing, like packs, blisters, whatever. Say they each store gets allotted 15. Like doesn't take a lot of people to go clear out a store of 15. It's where let's just say the cost to clear out the shelf is $100, where a restock of Pokemon to go clear out the shelves, I don't even know, that's probably like $600-700 probably.
yeah.
So I think it will be easy in the near term, but what I'm just worried about is that long term. I think it will stock out real hard in Walmart at first.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it'll become evident, right? With whether it's months or years, if it's a bubble scenario, if it pops, but it might pop to some extent. It might die and dwindle down fairly small. It might, and then it might come back 10 years later, like Pokemon did. Pokemon was almost dead. I thought it was dead. I left the hobby in 03 and I came back in 14. I didn't know that a card was printed in that whole span.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon was a bubble that popped, and then we recently had another bubble that popped. And the stock market, though, too. I mean, the stock market, companies still exist. They still make a lot of money. Stocks are valued pretty high historically right now, but it popped in the late 20s. It popped in the 70s with all the inflation stuff. It popped in the late 90s, 08. And I'm not saying MetaZoo or Pokemon are like stocks, but like there's a historical there's a history of just
If you want to do the stock comparison, this is how I would compare it right now. So stocks, this is like the .com bubble. Right now, Pokemon and Magic is like Apple and Amazon. They're going to come out of the .com boom, fantastic.
MetaZoo's
And
pets.com or
MetaZoo is AOL. And
very well could be.
it's a pay by the minute. They're sending you floppy disks in the mail, and you get a nice little profile and a screen name, and maybe you pick up your 6th grade girlfriend through AIM. That's what MetaZoo is.
That's what I was just gonna say though. My wife, I have good memories of AOL, talking to my wife on AOL Instant Messenger back in like high school. So
yeah,
maybe
everybody put ASL in the chat right now.
Yeah. 20 years from now, I might be looking back on MetaZoo the same way I look back on AOL, with like I hear that sound in my
the key connected, or the you got mail.
no, when you're doing the dial up like that.
Yeah, with the key with the word.
Yeah.
Or you ever like pick up your house phone when somebody's on the computer and they're like, get off the phone?
Yeah, my sister had a block of time and I had a block of time, and then it had to be open for calls for my parents first. Yeah. So 20 years from now, maybe I look back on MetaZoo and I just think of it nostalgically like I do AOL, and it's all worthless and done and gone. Could be.
All right. I think that's gonna end it for the MetaZoo chat.
Yes.
If you guys dislike MetaZoo, hit the like button. But if you like MetaZoo, also hit the like button on this video.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the stuff. I think it made for interesting chat. Same way Pokemon has. I mean, we've been going over 3 hours now, and I've very much enjoyed the entire conversation.
But yeah, do you want to like leave it open for like 10 more minutes? We'll get a couple more Pokemon questions if anybody has them. If not, we can end it.
I know we gotta pivot back. Come on, chat, help us out. Give us some good Pokemon questions.
Radical Pokemon said, "Praise Jesus." Can you imagine being the one Pokemon guy that stuck around to the end of this video? But no, I guess nobody has any questions. we really killed this chat.
We got to give them a minute. The viewership is still good. We're still hanging on. Come on, chat. Give us some Pokemon questions. Get us back on topic.
Yeah, Kevin Clear said back when it took 46 hours to download our song. Yeah, R.I.P. Napster.
LimeWire, Napster, yeah, nostalgic. Like that fits right in with the 90s, Pokemon, AOL, all that stuff.
My mom bought us like a household computer, and it had a CD burner on it. And my computer had enough memory that you could put the CD in and burn the CD on the computer, and then like put it onto another CD. And it legitimately took like 4 hours to make one CD, to like download it on the computer, put it on another one. It was crazy. Basic has a question for you. He said, Ketchumallcollectibles, I was with him when he opened that pack. He gave the cards to Swolepoke for maybe $20. Do you know what he's talking about?
He's talking about the MetaZoo Kickstarter pack. Come on, Basic. We're going to Pokemon now.
HQ said, knowledge. Do you watch Big Bang Theory? They rip on geology a lot, but it's funny. His mom's a geologist too. Yeah, geologists rock. Oh.
Joe Jav Productions asked about the eBay authentication thing. You're aware of?
Yeah, that's the $750. Yeah, I saw some random stuff going on. People talking about like $250 in the future and stuff. I wasn't able to like see that.
Potentially graded cards too, I heard, but that wasn't on the eBay page. So eBay launched this big page. Nick and I talked about it at the end of our podcast. But basically, if you sell a raw card, like say I had this raw, say I had a raw Grand Party that was mint, and I sold it for $1,000. It's over the $750. So instead of shipping it directly to the buyer, I would ship it to, it's actually CGC they're using. They're using CGC for Pokemon, Magic, non-sports, and then they're using CSG for sports. So I'd send it to the middleman, they'd verify it, and they'd forward it along. It's almost like a GSP equivalent, but for domestic.
I could that would be, it's like a hit or miss thing. And the only thing I think it's a hit or miss thing is, one, you put it in the hands of the postal service twice, which scares me.
You double your risk there. Yeah. I
You
mean,
double
losses happen.
you double your turnaround times. And what I don't know what's gonna happen with like if for whatever right now, I think CGC said their estimated turnaround time to get those cards out for you is like 1 or 2 business days,
There's no
which,
way.
which is fine maybe on the 750 because for Pokemon, there's not a lot of cards that are gonna hit that right
Yeah, most of
right
them are
now.
cell graded, right? Yeah.
Now, yeah, if they added grade, especially the $250 graded tier, like now you're talking a million. But what is the timeline where somebody could open up cases against you on eBay for not getting things?
Well, like I don't accept returns. So supposedly the way that this would work, I would send my Rawgram party
Yeah,
to CGC. They would verify, they don't grade it, but they verify that the condition is in line with what I stated. And then they send it to the buyer. The buyer cannot return that card to me because they can't claim item not as described because it's been verified. So I'm absolved of all interaction with that transaction, which is very attractive because that's the way the GSP works. And I love it.
the Green Chiz Collectibles just did a super chat. He said donated towards Mason's OnlyFans.
I like it.
But yeah, so the thing that it's like the turnaround times for CGC to get it, ship it back out. And what I'm afraid in the future right now is that looks like that's going to be a free service. But if it's not a free service in the future, it could potentially really affect the way we sell higher end cards on eBay, assuming they do go to 250 and assuming they do go to graded cards, where right now it's just 750 raw. But I think this is just them testing the waters. I think it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when for these lower cards. And yeah, and like you mentioned it in your video with old school Pokemon, is right now it's saying it's not lots, right? So what if you add an energy card? What if you like circumvent this? Like,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'll sell you this raw and I'll lot it with this 10-cent Dialga from Celebrations.
yeah. Is that what's gonna happen? And
It'll be interesting to see how it develops. What is really silly though, if they go to graded, I bought this graded, so I didn't send it to CGC myself, but someone sent this to CGC. They graded and authenticated it. And now if I sell it for $1,000,
you're
I've got
gonna
to
send
send it to CGC so that they can authenticate it and then send it on to the buyer. And
So,
what's even more silly than that?
so Dan Mason said, "Don't worry, they've been doing this with sneakers for years." Do we know? Do you pay for that service for the sneakers to be authenticated?
Someone must. I mean, eBay did say right in their FAQ, for a limited time.
Yeah,
It's
so if
free.
if they've been doing it for sneakers for a while, I would like to know if that sneakers one is still free. Because
I doubt it. Like they've got to be paying some amount of money. And like any other authentication service, there's going to be some amount of issues with this. They're not going to be 100% flawless. Like,
yeah,
are packs going to be included? How well will they be able to tell a reseal, if at all?
I'll test that first day.
And base set first edition, there was just that news recently. Rattle did a video too, where a base set first edition was graded that was
Oh,
a fake aftermarket stamp.
and not only was it a fake stamp, they put it on a freaking unlimited card. They didn't even try to like sneak it past on a shadowless card.
In CGC, they do grade Pokemon cards. They should be able to know what PSA does too. And PSA fell for that one. How many times? Because now I'm a seller that doesn't accept returns. If I sell you a fake or an altered card, maybe it's like you said earlier, maybe the edges are recolored on the back. CGC doesn't catch it, but you see it as a buyer. You can't return it back to me because it's been verified by the middleman. The middlemen are the experts. You're not. You're just a peon. You're a buyer who knows. Like the authenticator is not going to allow you to return that, and now you're stuck with a altered, fake, whatever card potentially.
Yeah, and especially now you're talking raw cards where like if PSA, let's say you bought a PSA slab and there was a fake card in it, like PSA graded by accident, like you're gonna still be able to submit that to PSA through their insurance
Yep.
and get your money for the value of that. Like,
Yeah, because it looks like what they're delivering it to you. It looks like they're gonna deliver it to you in a card saver that has like a tamper-proof sticker. And once that sticker's removed, you can't return it under any circumstance because it's already been verified. It's been tamper-proof stickered. So if you take it out of that, if the seller accepts returns, then
yeah.
you can return it through the normal avenue. But then it needs to be returned through the middleman too. So
If,
it makes everything really convoluted and
and what's gonna be super convoluted is let's say you sell a near mint card and the authenticator says it's still near mint and then you get it and you're like this isn't the angle this card was at, like this is the worst condition card I've ever bought at near mint, like
and yeah, like what's their near mint gonna be? They have a near mint grade for CGC, but they've explicitly stated that this authentication, they verify the condition, but it's explicitly stated that it's not grading. So like
yeah,
what is near mint? Is it CGC7 equivalent? Is it closer to like I don't know what is going to go on with it, but I don't sell any raw cards really
me
to speak
neither.
of. So it's not going to affect me yet. If they roll out the graded thing though, I sell several $250+ cards a
Yep.
week. I
Yep.
mean, that's a price point that I'm frequently at. So it's going to add some amount of cost, or maybe like the GSP, maybe it'll be. I don't have many issues with transactions above that level. Most of my issues are with like $50 buys.
The only thing it would be perfect is if they ran the service very similar to like a PWCC where you're just like, these are all the cards I have listed. I send them to you as soon as they sell, you ship them out.
Mason said in chat that they just authenticate, nothing to do with matching condition. Right on the FAQ, it says something about condition is verified to some extent. They say explicitly that it's not grading, but condition is verified.
So
Yeah.
Steve's brought up a very interesting thing and something I kind of talked about in a live before. He said there needs to be a company that opens up packs, confirms its rail, then resales with tamper-proof sales. Yes, it looks different, but at least it's consistent. Like there is a huge area for scamming there, unless they did that all like under video and stuff and they live stream them verifying packs and like, so there's that. And then I talked about it in a previous video, like, yeah, that makes sense for booster boxes for them to crack it open, verify everything's in there, close it, put tamper-proof seals on it, and do all this. But I just don't know if the market will ever get there where they'll
Yeah,
see the tamper-proof seals and it'll have the same premium sealed pack does, because people are just
I'm someone who over the years I've bought and opened many first edition WotC boxes. I'm still not comfortable at today's prices buying a box and keeping it sealed. Like I've never been fooled by one. I bought a couple fakes on eBay years ago and I knew it was a fake. I opened it, sent photos. I got my money back because it's eBay.
but did you know at the time of buying it?
No, because they sent like they had a picture of a real one
Oh,
and then they
okay.
sent a
Yeah.
fake one. They did it like a swap, but I've very rarely held a sealed WotC first edition box for more than like a month. I've always ended up opening it. There's been one, I think I've only ever sold one or two WotC first edition boxes, and it's not because I thought they were fake or anything, because I would have opened it up and addressed that. But I traded one relatively recently for a bunch of EX era stuff. And
Mm.
years ago, I think I sold one too, just because I think I kind of got to the point where I thought I had bought too many and it was time to get done opening Fossil and Jungle boxes.
But what do you think about what he was saying about like tamper-proof sales from third parties and stuff like that? We're so far from that, right?
I like Rusty did that.
He
So
did do that.
Rusty he in the box that he sold to Logan Paul, used for one of the more recent box breaks,
Hmm.
he opened it, he weighed
Yep.
all the packs, he verified everything was legit, and then he tamper proof sealed it. The Shadowless box that Pokemon Radar opened at that big gaming 100 Thieves. That Shadowless box had been opened and verified in a similar fashion. So if it's a box that's going to be in the future used for a box break, I think it works perfectly. But if it's a box that you want to have, like a sealed box that's been opened, doesn't make any sense to me. Like, especially a pack. Like 100 years from now, when this Evolutions pack is worth $10,000, no one wants this to be opened, verify that all the cards are in there, put back together, and then super glued. Like,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll even reseal your pack. You won't even know if somebody opened it.
it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, if you want sealed, buy sealed. If you want to buy something that you're going to open at a later date, the opening, checking, verifying, tamper-proof sealing, fully, like, this year was or last year was the 25th anniversary of Pokemon.
Yeah.
If I was dead set right now that on the 30th anniversary, I want to open a base set unlimited box, I would like call up Rusty and I'd say, hey, Rusty, I need to buy a base set unlimited box today. I trust you completely. Like, open it, verify it all, tamper proof seal it, do it on video, and I'll buy it from you for a premium so that in 5 years I don't get a nasty surprise.
I wonder
That
if
makes
that, but like
that
to
makes
answer his
reasonable
question,
sense
like,
to me.
could you make that into a company? Like what he said, like, like the acrylic heavy duty cases, like Rusty sells them from Black Card X.
Yeah.
Like open a booster box, verify the contents are legit, put that there and slap some custody seals on it.
Like
Yeah,
one of
right
the
there.
yeah, I've got everything within arm's reach. See?
Yeah, you were prepared for this video. But like those, you could do your own business. Just what does my authentication have? Like what does that carry? Nothing. But I guess anyone could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just one who sealed product was made to be opened.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy who's collecting sealed, so I'm not too worried about it. But there might be a market for it, but I kind of doubt it. It's tough.
Yeah. All right. I think this was a long chat. It was a good chat. It was a heated chat. It was good debating.
It was a very good chat. Yeah, 3.5 hours now.
Holy cow, that's a record for me, Dan. I appreciate you sticking through all this.
I appreciate you having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed my time
Uh,
chatting.
do you want to do any shout outs or any plugs before we go?
I'm on YouTube. I'm on eBay. I'm on Instagram, Ketchumallcollectibles, all those places. And then I'm also partnered with Jake with Pokenomics, the Patreon there. If you want like more in-depth stuff, if you want the Discord we have, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. Really fun conversation. Chat steered us into murky waters, but I think we navigated them well, right?
Yeah. All right. No, thanks again, Dan. But for everybody else,